Hello, listeners. This is Brittany Fisher, one of the editors for the Three Broomsticks. During the recording, we had a technical issue with Sophia's audio, so on behalf of the team, we apologize in advance for the change in her audio quality later in the episode. Hope you still enjoyed the discussion. Now on to the episode.
Give me big old buckets of butterbeer. Give me big old barrels of butterbeer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of that sweet old butterbeer.
Welcome to the Three Broomsticks. We invite you to pull up a chair, grab a butterbeer, and settle in for a hearty discussion about Harry Potter. I'm Sierra Obermark.
I'm Sophia Jenkins.
I'm Sam Williams, and today we have someone from the illustrious wizarding podcast Revelio by the name of Amy. Welcome, Amy.
Hello. Illustrious. I don't think we've ever been described in that way.
Excellent.
But we're going to now rebrand, and that's going to make it into all of the website headers.
Fantastic. Amy, would you give our listeners a brief rundown of your Harry Potter fandomhood, aka what's your Hogwarts house, how'd you get to Potter, what's your favorite book, and who or what is your favorite character?
All right. Who or what? Oh, now I have to think. Man. So, yeah, again, my name's Amy. I am a Hufflepuff. Token Hufflepuff here.
Hi, as everyone would say.
Hey! So my journey to Potter, I received the Sorcerer's Stone DVD for Christmas when I was 8 or 9 years old. Watched it, loved it, watched the second one, loved it, and then moved on to stealing the books off of my sister's bookshelf and reading all of those. Yeah, went to all the midnight movie releases, book releases, all that stuff. Was just totally hooked on Potter. In college, I started doing some video editing and writing for MuggleNet. Did that for about 10 years before setting out on my own to start up Revelio. So... yeah, my podcasting background, too. I've been involved in podcasting for quite a while. I was a host and producer for Speak Beastie podcast about the Fantastic Beasts series. Yay!
Woohoo!
It was a good run. Yeah, and then I obviously also host and produce Revelio. And I'm also a host on Expecto Patronum, which is a podcast going through all of the potential Patronus forms.
Dear Lord.
Ooh.
Wait,
Yes.
Okay, now I have a very quick 2 questions for you. A, I was a guest on Speak Beastie. Were we on the episode together?
I'm pretty sure we were.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, cool.
I can't remember. What was the episode about?
I think the future of the Fantastic Beasts.
Which turned out to be pretty bleak.
We were all very optimistic.
You know what? I still am.
Yeah, sure.
I still am. Eventually, someday, it's going to come back. It's going to come back as a TV series.
Yes.
And then we're going to get to finish it out.
David?
And Speak Beastie's going to come back. It's going to be great.
Yeah. It'll be fantastic when we're in our 60s.
Yes.
Yes. But that's okay, because then, Sam, you can be the David Attenborough of this TV series.
That would be great. I would love to be the David Attenborough of anything.
Perfect.
Okay, my second follow-up question. This is a joke that I've made a bunch of times. I would always hope that if I get a Patronus, that I would get a blue whale, because you can literally just sit inside your Patronus and nothing can touch you for miles.
It's not
like
how
it.
Patronus works. Can you be inside of a Patronus?
Have you discussed blue whales on your show yet?
We have not, and now I'm curious if that's even on our list of 148 Patronuses.
Okay,
I
great.
feel like
Well,
I'm going to have to go and look.
You're
If
now
it
gonna
is,
have
we're
to
going to
be-
have to bring you on that episode.
100%. I would beg for it. I will be outside your raining window, tapping on the glass saying, please let me in.
With your boombox.
Yeah, precisely.
To tie it into today's
whale
episode.
noises.
Rotating poster boards.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm sure that's the audio everyone wanted to hear is me making whale noises. Hey, so you have an excellent background in Harry Potter. What is your favorite book and who or what is your favorite character?
So my favorite book is a tie, and interestingly, this is also my favorite movie tie.
Nice.
It's the same for both, which is weird. Prisoner of Azkaban and Deathly Hallows.
So is that a three-way tie for the movie?
So for the movie, it's... I'm going to receive so much hate for this. Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Yes, I love Deathly Hallows Part 1. Yes,
Deathly Hallows Part 1 is great.
I love it.
It gets so much heat, and I'm like, it's such a beautiful movie.
I find
what is wrong with you people?
It's such a faithful adaptation, and therefore it's a little slower than movies, and so that's why a lot of laymen's hate it.
And I think that people can learn a little patience, and that we don't need all the action right up front in our movies. So
God, could you talk to every agent ever? That'd be great.
Appreciate the beautiful landscapes and cinematography, people. So the favorite book, favorite movie combo there. Favorite character is Hermione.
Nice.
Which I know always seems so generic, but I just relate to her so much. Like,
It's actually quite controversial on this podcast because our usual sound editor, Patrick, despises Hermione to his core.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I take that personally, Patrick, because I feel like you would despise me. I'm sorry.
So is it that Hermione just is like kind of doesn't listen to anybody, thinks that she's right all the time, and then makes snap judgments? Is that your favorite thing about her, or?
Guilty, probably. I don't know. Like, as a kid, I related to her because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I was kind of that kind of like bookish, nerdy, not pretty or popular kind of version. And like, I don't know. I think like a lot of people would have called me a know-it-all. In fact, I was called that to my face quite a bit, actually, all up through college. But I argue that it's not being a know-it-all. It's just stating the facts and being very well researched and backing up your opinion. And if people can't handle that, that's their problem. Patrick, no.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I can relate. I also could relate to Hermione a lot as a kid, especially her perfectionism. That was definitely a struggle I had. Yeah.
It was just like refreshing as a kid to read a character like that who wasn't perfect. Like you could recognize your own flaws within them, and I thought that was really great and special and kind of why she's continued to resonate with me.
Yeah. Also, Amy, I just realized, Irvin was saying like, oh, Amy's going to join us. I didn't realize that it was you. So for for listeners, Amy and I were at MuggleNet together. Hi! Yeah. And as soon as I heard your voice, I'm like, I wonder if... And then I was like, oh, it is Amy.
That's funny.
So yeah, Amy was my, first... when I first started MuggleNet as an intern was my manager, and then we worked together for... probably 5 years, so yeah.
And according to
United, and it feels so good. Don't sue us, please.
According to Felicia, Sophia and I sound exactly the same, and you can't tell us apart, which I don't think is true.
I don't think that's true either. But okay.
Call BS.
I guess our podcast listeners can tell us
same inflections and dialect because we're both from New York.
What?
I was like, okay.
I've never had anyone say that I sound like I'm from New York, so that's also shocking to me.
Yes.
That's really interesting. Same. Well, our listeners can tell us if they think that's true or not.
I am
it shall become a parent.
I'm resisting the joke of purposely mixing you guys up so bad.
Yeah. Great point, Amy.
Excellent. Well, welcome. We're very excited to have you for today's episode, which is Sierra.
So number 63.
Woo.
We have gathered to discuss what if Harry Potter was a rom-com? Recommended reading. the books, any rom-com you wish, recommended watching, any of the films we will proceed to mention over the next however long, and many, 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 many more. There's a lot. Not all of them are great, guys, but they're there. And for this episode also, we'd like to give a huge thanks to Katie Reekin.
Woo!
Reekin? Over on our Patreon, who bought us this round of drinks at the pub. Yay!
Thank you.
If you, my dear listener, would like to buy us a round of drinks at the pub as well, please head over to patreon.com/3broomsticks. That is with the numeral 3 to sign up. Listen to Ev and I discussing parenting with magic and adding Harry Potter into our kids' lives, or you can turn into the Q.
It's not that many
with Oreo
Qs.
and Sam.
It's the Quality Quidditch Quala League.
Yeah. Q. Season 2 is upon us.
Yes!
So
Controversial
maybe
ending.
even controversial ending. Oh, I love it. I love the little, the shout out there. Maybe even try out some party planning with help from Irvin and Sophia. We would really appreciate your help in keeping the lights on here at the Three Broomsticks so that we can talk about Harry Potter for a long time to come. Now,
Please and thank you.
please and thank you.
Let all of us offer a toast to the comments on episode 60. The episode was Plot Holes in Harry Potter. We raise our glass to commenter Perkins Lumbago, who said, and I'm sure he doesn't sound like this, but
First comment.
woo!
Woo!
Excellent. Please comment, everyone. I'm sure he doesn't sound like this, but I'll give him a voice anyways. So many questions still about magical law. How did powerful wizarding families never rely on their family lawyers? Good grief! Get Aberforth a defense attorney. Also, Albus could have used a family trust to get the trio all the things without ministry interference. How was Sirius able to get a life sentence with no trial? Even absent justice protections of any sort, didn't they at least want a salacious public trial to broadcast or entertainment? Did his parents bribe the ministry to do so, to avoid aforesaid public media? And if they did, maybe it was their lawyer that did it. Aha! End of comment.
This is really how we get someone to comment again? That person is never gonna make another comment. Jeez.
Or they'll request voices and I'll do that. And then it'll be a party trick.
Fair enough.
You can make a little form, like attach a Google form with it so they can request what voice they want.
Excellent. Thoughts?
It's worth mentioning that earlier in the comment, Perkins does say that they are in fact alert.
Okay.
Hence, all of these questions, which are very true and valid,
Yes.
I will say. Yes, Aberforth needing a defense attorney, 1000%. It's not like none of these people could afford one, especially the Blacks. I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and just say that there wasn't a whole lot of family left around that cared about Sirius.
It doesn't seem like there's any... Well, you would have thought that the Black family would have loved the fact that he was actually secretly a Death Eater and killed his best friend and all of that stuff. So
Right.
it just doesn't seem like there are solicitors
Yeah.
or lawyers in the wizarding system at all because of the time
Yeah, I
that we
don't
have
think
spent
there
in the
are.
trials.
We don't see
'Cause
any
it's just
evidence.
like self-representation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I kind of wonder if it's like the wizarding world is so small that it's like, I don't know, some of the jobs that we have in the Muggle world, we have like enough people to fill those jobs, enough people who are willing to go to extra schooling or have the funds to go to extra schooling or whatever it might be. And in the wizarding world, it's just like, yeah, there's just like not enough people to have lawyers for
It's
everyone.
so interesting, though, because it's like we see magical law enforcement. So there's law enforcement, and like
Mhm.
they're tied to the government, but there's no, like, private practice attorneys.
Or
Yeah,
even, like, public defenders.
Yeah.
And honestly, yeah, it seems like most jobs in the wizarding world are tied to the government. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
The
doesn't seem to
ministry
be
is
a
like the
government-
only employer.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
either you're like a healer, or you own a store, or you work for the ministries, like,
Or you play Quidditch.
or you're a teacher.
It's those
Yeah.
four. Five.
Yeah, or
It's
you're
five.
a professor.
So
Yeah.
it's kind
Teaching-
of like...
5. you're
Teaching
teaching.
Quidditch,
Yeah.
healing, government. That's it.
But it
kind
kind
of like
makes
the
sense.
town I live in. If
Like-
you don't work for the university, the government, or the school, or the hospital, you're just out of luck.
I mean, what would
Right.
wizarding tech even really be, though? Just like new spells?
Yeah.
New
Wizarding
spells,
tech.
new potions.
So it seems
Yeah.
like only individual savants do that. The Wolfsbane
Yeah,
potion is created by somebody, is it Blitherby or whatever his name is? Doesn't get on with his uncle.
Belby?
Not Nigel. No, not. Yeah, Weatherby.
Yeah, Sophia got
No.
it.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Sorry,
you
I
got
confused.
Sophia, what was the name?
Belby. Marcus Belby.
Belby, yes.
His uncle.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Weatherby is what Crouch
yeah.
calls
Yeah,
Percy.
yeah.
That's it.
Thank you, Weatherby. What?
Yeah. But, you know,
Amazing.
if you think about it, like, what if you don't have very many people in a society, like, what are the things you need most? You need doctors, you need teachers, and you need government. Like, that's kind of the most necessary stuff. So, and places for people to get their wizarding supplies. So, like, it might just be there's not enough people to fill the jobs of
Well,
lawyers.
and the government will tell you that you need a distraction to keep the public, you know, satiated through the hard times, so that's why you have Quidditch.
Well, I think Quidditch is one of those things that it's like, it's not necessary. It's just like, people will pay to go to the matches, so like, so it's a job, you know? It's a job
Romans-
because people are willing to pay for it, you know?
The Romans would tell
But
you
that's-
that's 100% wrong because they only built the Colosseum in order to keep the masses distracted on poor quality of life. And that's the reason why we have sports today, is to distract people.
I mean, sure,
Yes,
but
but
also,
also-
like, it keeps going because people are willing to pay for it.
Oh, certainly. I'm just saying, as part of the 5 things that you have to have education, you have to have healing, you have to have government, you have to have shops, and you have to have big group distractions.
Sure.
Which is also a government job.
Yes.
Because you have all the magical games and sports, and also the international cooperation or whatever that department is. Crouch
But
and
those, like,
Bagman's
2 things.
International
jobs. essentially.
Magical
Who-
Cooperation.
Yeah, so then it also, like, it just makes more money for the government. Yay!
Indeed. The one thing that I find interesting here is that there is clearly not a version of a trust, or else Albus would have used it to get the sword and the book and everything to Harry and Hermione
Right.
and Ron in Book 7, or else,
Yeah.
if he would have gone and done that. So it just seems like the government really wants to have their hands on everything. It's really, you can see here how easily it is to turn the government into some sort of tyrannical machine for
yeah.
Voldemort to use, because there is
Right.
no checks on their systems at all, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, like, you can see how they could make excuses for why that's necessary, where they're like, you know, it's so important that we keep ourselves under wraps, that we, like, you
Yeah.
know, keep our secrecy, that we, you know, keep track of everything. So you can make that argument of, like, we need to be in control of everything to make sure that, you know, we keep safe and hidden, but then if someone corrupt gets into power, it's like, no
Yeah.
checks.
Yeah. It's for
Absolutely.
the greater good, as they might say.
Ugh. Gross. And on that note, let's move on to For the Greater Good of Our Romantic Comedic Feelings. The main discussion! Our experience is with rom-coms. What, everyone? What have we done? Wow, how have we consumed this material as we move into What If Harry Potter Was a Rom-Com?
I love me a good rom-com. I'm not necessarily a reader of romantic comedy. I'm more of a watcher of romantic comedy. in general, I feel like it's been a while since I've seen a really good one. I was trying to think of more kind of like current ones, but they do seem to be, even the ones that I was like, oh yeah, didn't that like just come out? It was like 2011 or something like that. So I do feel like it has been kind of a while since I've seen one, but I could be just forgetting that some exist. So there's that. But I do feel like kind of the like 80s, probably more 90s, early 2000s were like the golden age
of rom-coms.
Yeah.
Agree. The modern ones, like, they just don't, they're not the same.
They're too much comedy, not enough romance. Like, there's not the balance. And it's too, it's not subtle and, like, witty. It's very, like, it's more crass humor. Which, like,
yeah, they're not like the
but not in my
rom-coms, right? They're more like,
Well, I think what I've seen is that, like, a lot of places like Netflix or whatever, like Netflix will come out with new rom-coms and they clearly are just like working off of an algorithm. They're just like, these are the different points, like this is sort of the structure of how a rom-com is supposed to be, and then we'll just like, you know, not put that much effort into the actual writing of the script or the acting or any of that. Like, this is all people care about is the structure. And I think that is really frustrating because, and the thing is, like, okay, I think one of the things I love about rom-coms is that there is like kind of a predictability of it that, like, I don't really, like, rom-coms are my favorite movies to watch. I don't like watching a movie that I don't know whether it'll have a happy ending or not. I'm like, I don't want to spend 2 hours and at the end of those 2 hours just be sad. Like, it just doesn't feel like a worthwhile use of my entertainment time. So I like the predictability. I like that you can kind of see where it's going, but like also you're curious about how it's going to get there. But what they don't realize is that it like has a soul to it. Like what makes a good rom-com is like the like there's something like living in it, something interesting, something like clever or human or whatever. And I think that recently it's just been like, oh, all people care about is the predictable structure. And it's like, no, it's not interesting if you don't have the soul.
They're missing the soul or like the relatable characters. Like I feel like the character gets totally overlooked and like thrown to the side and they focus on that plot structure instead of having really good well structured and like well explored characters.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the downfall of like the really bad rom-coms.
Right. And like you say like relatable characters, and I think that what they think of, like the people who are making these bad rom-coms, what they think relatable character means is like a stand-in character who like is so bland that anyone could kind of sort of relate to them. But what we really mean is like a character who's like a real human being. And in being a real human being, you can relate to them because you're also a human being, not just like
Well, and they're like supposed to have flaws because then that builds like the conflict and like the awkwardness that makes a rom-com.
Yeah.
So if you just paste in like perfect character, it doesn't work.
Right. Well, and on kind of on the flip side of that, they can be good people too. Like I feel like a lot of rom-coms now as well are like, well, these are horrible people, and here's why she's horrible, and here's why he's horrible, and here's why this person's horrible, and then they just work it out.
Right?
Like, no, like, these are all very toxic individuals. Please, no, thank you.
What I hate is in rom-coms is when it's like, okay, in my experience, often it's the male character, but, you know, it doesn't have to be, but, like, the male character is absolutely terrible the whole time. And then there's one moment where he just, like, shows that he, like, loves his family. And then she's like, oh my god! Like, you know, like, okay, then we can work out, you know? Yeah. And you're just like, I'm not rooting for this. Like, you have to be rooting for it. You have to want the relationship to happen.
Yeah.
You know, we're in such an age of hey, we're going to try and create the least expensive movies en masse that we know some sort of algorithm or conventional thought behind will get them out. So we get a lot of sort of garbage like that on a lot of these streaming services because they're just so desperate for people to pay for their subscriptions each month. And then you'll get, you know, a quick little tiny movie that pops up. Like, do you guys remember The Big Sick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like the last romantic comedy movie that I remember watching that I really loved, that's sort of modern-ish. And that's Kumail Nanjiani's movie about real life story. It's like autobiographical about him and his wife, where she lost her memory. And it's all about him sort of recently been dating this girl, wanting to be supportive but not knowing where it is. And that's awesome. And that went on to get nominated for an Oscar and all of this stuff. And it kind of seems like in a lot of different media, but especially like these big genres, they're either, you know, like science fiction or rom-coms or action movies. We either are getting sort of pre-chewed up tube meals of movies or Oscar level movies. And there's kind of nothing in between like there would be for like Miss Congeniality or Runaway Bride or Sweet Home Alabama. All these movies that are like really good, but not quite yet the Oscar and also not garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
There's I think I've mentioned this on another episode, but there was an interview that I watched with Matt Damon, where he was talking basically about that same thing, where he was discussing how, everything basically has to be blockbuster.
Yeah.
And Good Will Hunting would never exist now.
No.
Because there's no space for it. That amazing movie would not exist now, they wouldn't even attempt to make it because it wouldn't have the guaranteed monetary outcome, even though it ended up, you know, doing really well and everything. But those more subtle movies that are thinkers, that are more about the kind of like the everyday and the regular person and things like that, it just doesn't have a place right now, which is very upsetting to me.
There's too much mitigation of risk based off of analytical data. So whether you're looking at an algorithm or you're using AI to generate or whatever it is that you're doing from a mathematical standpoint, you're trying to, so many people are looking at math and trying to mitigate risk instead of using the math to show, okay, well, if you do several films like this, you might actually hit sort of like a Talented Mr. Ripley or a Shawshank Redemption or a Good Will Hunting sort of dealio that comes out of, well, Shawshank didn't come out of nowhere, but you know what I'm saying? There's like these smaller movies that people aren't as interested in that suddenly do very, very well because of word of mouth. So there's anyways, we're getting into a whole different thing. Rom-coms. What are rom-coms? So I studied film in grad school. I really love rom-coms. I feel like they are the underrated, a highly underrated, genre, and they're the twin of action movies. So they're trope filled and you get way more bad than good, but you always know what you're going to get. And the same with action movies. Let's dive into our favorites. Sierra, what are your favorites?
Gosh, it was super hard. Once I started going, I had to stop myself from just continuing to type. I always think of About Time. That's
I love that one.
That's the one that I was like, oh, that just came out. No, 2011, guys. So that Domhnall Gleeson, Bill Nye, Rachel McAdams. It's adorable. It's really funny. It gets really deep on, you know, what are the important things in life. Healthy bit of time travel in there for anybody who likes that type of a story. Just super sweet. Runaway Bride's another one. Pretty Woman. Anything that's got Richard Gere and or Julia Roberts. I mean, just like amazing. Notting Hill. Speaking of Julia Roberts, Notting Hill. OMG, so good.
I love those first two, Runaway Bride and Pretty Woman. I've never seen Notting Hill.
Okay, you will watch it this weekend.
I mean, Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, defined the genre.
Defined the 90s.
Exactly.
You can't beat them when it comes to rom-com.
Yeah. Amazing. Sweet Home Alabama.
So good.
I love this movie.
It's amazing.
So good. Reese Witherspoon, Patrick Dempsey, Josh Lucas. Get random thick Southern accents. You get the classic trope here with the love triangle. You get the rich girl, rich guy. She goes home. This is the down home guy. That whole thing.
Gotta get divorced first.
So good. Yeah.
It's amazing.
No big deal.
I had such a huge crush on Reese Witherspoon after this movie. It was a problem.
I had such a huge crush on Josh Lucas.
Yeah, of course you did.
Ugh.
Could have picked that out.
Wow.
Oh, is it going to be Patrick or Josh? Sierra? No, Patrick for sure. Oh, wait. 100% Josh. There's not even a question.
No. I mean, anyway. Yeah, When Harry Met Sally, amazing.
I
Such
love
a
When
classic.
Harry Met Sally.
I will never want that wagon wheel coffee table. My parents say that to each other all the time. It's hilarious.
I have never seen this movie.
Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal. If you have not seen this, please watch it. It's like the most real, most quotable. They meet over a huge period of time. They meet and they just keep having these little meetings and whatnot. And it's very quirky and everything. You who love Billy Crystal,
I know,
have not seen this.
Never seen it. Billy Crystal's great. I love it. I need to see it.
Yeah, crazy.
It is,
Okay,
I think, maybe my favorite movie of all time. So, I love that movie. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. Another more current one, Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh, I love Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah, I just thought, it's kind of an ensemble cast movie, but it focuses on Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, and then secondarily Emma Stone and Julianne Moore. But Ryan Gosling's character has to guide Steve Carell's character through his potential divorce and finding who he is as a man, and there's just some really funny parts that come out of it, and I think it's a good example of a more current one.
I just felt like this movie did not support its title very much. It ended up not being very crazy. I'll give you the other two adjectives, but not so much the crazy.
There's some crazy moments.
Scene where it gets
There's
crazy.
one scene.
Really crazy.
Yes, one scene. That would be like calling it Harry Potter and having Harry be in one scene.
That's funny.
It's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and the Sorcerer's Stone's only in one scene.
No, it's in multiple scenes. What are you talking about? It's in 2 scenes.
Oh my god.
The Princess Bride.
Oh,
which
love it.
I guess you could kind of argue is more just a comedy in general, but romantic
no,
comedy.
It's
for
100%
sure.
a rom-com.
Is this a kissing book?
It's a kissing book.
This is my favorite rom-com for sure. 100%.
It's so good.
You haven't heard of this? Inconceivable. Yeah. If you talk about quotable, I could go on and on and I'll throw in some later in this episode.
Little Easter eggs.
Another semi-current-ish, which again is a lot longer ago than I thought it was. The Holiday with
I like
Jude
The
Law,
I
Cameron
love The
Diaz,
Holiday.
Jack Black, Kate Winslet, super cute Christmas movie, home swap. Yeah, I love this one. This is probably of the Christmassy related ones, this one's my favorite.
No, I don't. Okay, first of all, I didn't realize we were doing Christmas movies and rom-coms together, because that's a whole different boat, because Hallmark makes their entire living. The only reason why you get cards during the holiday are because of Christmas rom-com movies of holiday from Hallmark. Anyways.
But this is different. It's different.
Okay.
It just happens to be over Christmas.
First of all, The Holiday is great. I will say The Holiday is the best version of a movie whose opening scene I detest, and then I love the rest of the movie. Because I cannot believe anybody's acting from Cameron Diaz's opening scene. It's just horrid. Anyways, the rest of the movie is fantastic. But if we're doing Christmas movies, not Christian movies, Christmas movies, then it's Love Actually all day. All day.
No.
I am not a fan of Love Actually. Sorry.
I totally understand. There's a whole bunch of slew of people in my life, sorry Neha, that hate this
Cringe.
movie, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I
love Actually. I know there are critiques and I understand the critiques, but there are so many amazing scenes in this movie, and I still come back loving it, so.
Could you be quite quick? Quite quick. Could you be quite quick, Mr. Bean and Snape? It's great.
Yeah, I actually have like a really unique reason for not liking this movie.
Which, Love Actually or The Holiday?
Yes. No, Love Actually.
Okay, tell me.
So I don't have most of the problems that other people have with this movie. I get it. I get everybody's problems. My problem is very personal.
Okay.
This is time for story time of Sierra grew up with minor celebrities. The girl that the little boy loves,
Yes.
who sings at the end,
Yes.
I grew up with her. I went to school with her. And she and I were in a,
Feud.
she probably will not remember who I am, period. Like, I was not on her radar at all, except for like a handful of times when she and her friends were not particularly like, nice to me.
Oh, no.
And we were in a talent show together, and I opened the show and she closed the show, or vice versa, and she did not like that order and got really upset. And so there was just this like weird background rivalry with me and her, like growing up in like elementary and middle school. And so that's why I don't like that movie.
Wow.
Fair.
That's so, I love that. And I love that there's a talent show involved, because like the big scene that she's in is a talent show. And
We could have, yeah, exactly.
you could have like
could've
written
done the
this
rom-com.
script. Yeah. Like
I
she
could
you
have been, yeah. So that's my really weird random reason why I don't like that movie. I like
Very
everything
fair.
except for that. Like except for that section, which is a bummer because Liam Neeson, like,
Is amazing. And he's also Qui-Gon Jinn.
is amazing. And I love everybody else in the movie, but it kind of sours it for me.
That's really funny.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
On to me. Okay, so I have honorable mentions for my favorite Crazy Rich Asians, which you all forgot about.
Forgot about it.
Yep. It's fine.
Yes.
It's a great movie.
So good.
Sleepless
I
in
just watched it
Seattle,
again.
which is, I think, a brilliant
So good.
rom-com. And is always great to see Tom Hanks in a movie. 13 Going on 30, which was, I think, the
That's such a
first
fun one.
rom-com that I ever saw, and so holds a special place.
Mm.
And then years later, I was like, is that the Hulk? Is the Hulk crushing on a 30-year-old? Cool. And then there's The Big Sick, which I mentioned earlier and is great. But my top 5 in reverse order, number 5, Clueless, which is Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, or Emma. I can't remember which one, but it's a ripoff
It's
of
Emma.
one of those.
It's Emma.
Thank you. It's Emma. Moonstruck, which is a great assortment of fake Italian accents that I had to watch in order to perfect an Italian accent for a play I was in high school. And so I watched that movie maybe 8 times in one weekend and came out with a terrible fake Italian accent, but it worked for the play. Yay me.
I love it.
Then a big gap, and you get to My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which has probably the most quoted scene ever in New Hampshire of "There's a hole in this cake." Just great, lovely. Windex used to fix cuts. Bad idea. Do not follow.
Such a good movie.
Just put Windex on it.
As previously mentioned, rounding out the last 2 would be Love Actually and The Princess Bride. So there you have it, my top 5. Sophia, what are yours?
Yes. Well, you guys have mentioned most of mine, which is great. That leaves me space for some other stuff. One that no one has mentioned that is actually perfect for this podcast is What If with Daniel Radcliffe. Have you guys seen that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I really love that one. He's actually such a good comedic
that.
actor. I think he's a much better comedic actor than dramatic actor, and I think he is really funny in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And none of you have...
Please see any other things in Daniel Radcliffe's discography.
Yeah, for real.
What was
Maybe
it?
except for horns.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what Sierra said.
I said see anything else in his discography for Daniel Radcliffe as a comedic actor.
Yes, that's clearly where he shines. Like, you know, that's...
Yes.
Yeah. And none of you have mentioned any TV shows, and I actually really love romantic comedy TV shows. So, Four Weddings and a Funeral, I don't actually really love the movie, but the new TV show adaptation is incredible. I love that. And it has a lot of, like, playing off of classic rom-coms in some of its references. Jane the Virgin, amazing rom-com TV show.
Oh, so good.
Yes. And there's a recent one that just came out that I really enjoyed. It's called Nobody Wants This. It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
so
that was good.
yeah,
That's
if you
on my
want to
list. I
check that
haven't
out,
seen
you
it
should
yet.
definitely check that out. And finally, there's one that I really love that started in England, and in England it was called Scrotal Recall, as in it is about this guy who gets chlamydia, and he ends up, like, contacting all of his old, like, you know, his old sexual partners in order to tell them that, but it's, like, showing his relationships, like, with them over the years and stuff, and it's really funny. In the US, they turned the title into Lovesick. So depending on where you are, you can find that in either of those names. So those are some of my favorite TV shows, and I love a good rom-com TV show because you get all the good stuff from a movie, but you get more of it, you know, and you get more character development over, you know, more episodes and stuff. So, yep.
If we're doing rom-com television shows, New Girl is way up there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I would say that's like a...
but is that
a
rom-com or is that sitcom?
That is
I would say
100% a heavy-handed rom-com within a sitcom.
Sure.
Okay.
I think a lot of
I
think a lot of shows that are just like they're just either like sitcom type stuff or it's like they're what's the right word? Yeah, in that genre have a romance plot line, but like the romance plot line is not the only main or only plot line, whereas I think the ones that I was saying, those are all ones where it's like the romance is the focus.
I would argue
Like How I Met Your Mother.
Right. I would argue that New Girl, the romance is the focus, unlike Brooklyn Nine-Nine or The Office or anything other like that, or even Friends, the romance isn't the plot, the comedy is the plot. I think in New Girl, the romance, literally the show is about Cece or Schmidt for a while, and then it's about Nick and Jess for a while, and then it's about Winston's lack of love problems, and that is the through line. I mean, all the best comedic bits are romance-focused.
I will give you that.
Thank you. I will take it. Amy, what are your favorites?
Okay, so nobody mentioned Leap Year, and this is one of my favorite rom-coms ever.
Is it because her name is Amy?
Yes.
Yes, that's one of the reasons. How did you know? No, I love Amy Adams so much, and this movie is so cute. So if you haven't seen it, it's about this woman. She thinks that her boyfriend's going to propose to her. He doesn't. He goes on a business trip to Ireland. She follows him there with the goal to propose to him on Leap Day because there's the Irish tradition of the woman proposing to the man on Leap Day. She has to hitch a ride to Dublin with this like bar owner who also owns a taxi in quotation marks because it's not really. And through their journey together, shenanigans ensue. It's very cute. It is so good.
Yes. I totally forgot about that one. And then as I was reading your description of it, I was like, Maid of Honor. I forgot
Yes.
about
I've never seen that
Maid
movie.
of Honor too.
Yeah.
Another Patrick Dempsey.
That's a good one.
He's the maid of honor for his best friend who he's been in love with, who meets a Scottish man and goes off on a destination wedding and has him be her maid of honor. So it's kind of like a my best friend's wedding esque.
Nice.
Thing.
Speaking of Patrick Dempsey,
but from the guy side,
does Enchanted count as a rom-com, or is it too Disney?
Oh, interesting.
I think it counts.
And speaking of
Kind of.
Amy Adams,
It's
Well,
like
Patrick
a
Dempsey
musical.
and Amy Adams, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a musical rom-com kind of.
Musical
Yeah.
There you
rom-com.
go. It's its own genre.
It's its own genre.
kinda.
Okay, so never mind. If you want us to talk about what if Harry Potter as a musical rom-com, we'll just point you in the direction of a Harry Potter musical, and that'll be that.
That's a different episode.
Darren Chris will have to be on that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Ugh.
Yeah, my other one is Miss Congeniality because who
that's a
doesn't
good
love
one.
that
I
movie?
love that movie. I love that movie
I
with
mean,
all my heart.
I actually had
It's
never
just-
really thought of it as a rom-com, more as like a comedy with a bit of rom,
Yeah.
but
It's a com-rom
Yeah.
instead of a rom-com.
it's a com-rom. Yeah, it's a com-rom.
There you go. Yeah.
I honestly like forget that there's a romance in it.
I just remember her like having a lot of glasses at some point.
Yeah. I mean, you've got saying the perfect date. Like, it's just like another one of those that's just so quotable. So good.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last one that I have is You've Got Mail.
Great.
Another Meg Ryan.
Ah,
Tom
That's
Hanks.
a good one. Mm-hmm.
Meg Ryan.
Hanky
So
Tom.
good.
Great one. Would you? Okay, so Amy, here's the
Fantastic.
question: you pit Sleepless in Seattle against You've Got Mail. Which one are you picking?
Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would pick You've Got Mail. Just what I don't like as much about Sleepless in Seattle is that you don't get to see them really together as ever until like the last 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They're only in 2 scenes together as a couple. How can they call it a rom-com? Excellent. Well, now that we've discussed what our favorite rom-coms are, why don't we take a foray into the undersheets of movie making and discuss what makes a rom-com a rom-com, Sarah?
There's rom and there's com.
Well, besides obviously comedy plus romance.
You don't say.
Yeah. There is a central love story around which the rest of the plot occurs, and it ends with a happily ever after. So as Sophia was saying, she wants to know that everything's going to be okay in the end. That is a guarantee in a rom-com. If it doesn't have a happily ever after, it's not a rom-com. Sorry. The plot is moved forward primarily by the comedy. So it's, it is a romance plot, but the comedy is what moves it forward. And it's usually through like typical devices like mistaken identity or witty dialogue or misunderstandings, which is my least favorite one of all time. I absolutely hate a just let me explain. No. Come on, guys. Hearing the last sentence through the door without hearing all the sentences previously spoken kills me every time. It's my least favorite. The romance and the comedy are given equal screen time in a rom-com. I think that is the key. That's why I was kind of arguing some of those other ones earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a focus on more lighthearted themes with charismatic characters who kind of keep things light and happy. And yes, they might have some darker moments or deal with deep things going on, but overall the general vibe is light and happy and fun people, relatable people, ideally. Does not mean they're one-dimensional, looking at you, current Hollywood.
I have yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, I think Amy, you had some
Amy, go for it.
Other important factors.
Yeah, I got super into this, so sorry.
No apologies needed. Please get into it as much as you need.
No, continue.
Something you might not know about me is I actually teach video and film to high school students.
Nice.
So I talk about genre a lot. So I was like, yes, I can add some wisdom here. So another big element of the rom-com is the meet cute, which interestingly enough, most people's familiarity with the meet cute is from the meet cute being explained to them via the rom-com The Holiday, as previously mentioned.
Yes. Yes. Arthur.
Yeah. So people often only think of meet cutes as the characters meeting for the first time, but in actuality, it's where they're introduced to the audience as a potential couple. So not every rom-com has the characters meeting each other for the first time within its plot. Like, that could have happened before the movie starts. So the meet cute in those situations where these people have already met each other is usually the first time that the audience is introduced to those characters. So that first time you see them together, and their dynamic as characters and potential love interests is sort of established in that first moment that you see them together.
You
So
have
that's your
dirt
meet cute.
on your nose. Did you notice?
Yeah.
Yes,
Just there.
exactly. Some other essential elements in a rom-com can include the relationship being in jeopardy, the aha moment, or like the resolution where they realize they need or want to be together, and some sort of grand gesture or like iconic love declaration.
Lovely. Incredible.
One thing I wanted to add, I like to write, and I went to like a lecture on writing rom-coms, and one of the things that they said that really is an important thing in a rom-com is that like you need like at least one big moment of absolute like ridiculous chaos, and like you know, like there just has to be like some sort of scene where there's like everything is just like and it's often like it has to embarrass the main characters. Like it can't just be ridiculous chaos going on around them. It's like it's embarrassing themselves in the pursuit of love in some way. And that is like one of the, I think, central parts of a rom-com is that like loving someone is a little bit embarrassing. It's a bit of a risk. It's a bit humiliating sometimes. And that the characters are showing that they're like willing to do that. Or it might be something where like something ridiculous happens that embarrasses them in front of the person they're into, and like, you know, it just there's a lot of like embarrassment and like the characters like putting themselves in ridiculous situations, and like those things, and often like one big scene in particular where all of that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. All right. Next section. Here we go. We've got, what are rom-com tropes? And where do we see these in the books already? Or at least, where can we imagine some rom-com tropes have popped up? AKA, please see the litany of fan fiction covered by anybody, but specifically our friend Neha Khan, who does Draymani podcast, which is fantastic.
So one that popped into my mind right away when I thought about ones like kind of already existing is the enemies to lovers. And my example being Ron and Hermione from the books. You know, obviously go from not super getting along to, a couple. So, yeah.
Yeah. And they're an interesting one because they sort of combine two tropes where it's like enemies to lovers, but also friends to lovers. So they're like enemies to friends to lovers. And those are both tropes. And actually, Hermione and Ron have a lot of tropes in them. The love triangle trope.
Mm-hmm.
So with Ron, Hermione, and Victor.
We'll get
and
there.
Then, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's coming up. Don't you worry. We have a whole section on the love triangle.
Okay. I won't get ahead of us then.
Other enemies to lovers are Sierra.
Well, they're not in the book, or are they? Draco and Harry. Come on.
Yeah, it did Sectum Semper for a reason.
And then, my new headcanon, Trelawney and Firenze.
Come on. The real enemies to lover is Umbridge to Firenze.
No. I hate that.
Sorry, we should put a little asterisk on anything from this point forward. We will be talking cursed pairings alongside very real ones and good ones.
So then another trope is best friend's sister.
Yeah.
Harry and Ginny.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
She's
And
my
then,
sister.
Yeah. My best friend and my sister.
Gross.
Friend and
All
my
right.
sister.
If you
No
must.
friends, nobody. No, okay, that's fine.
No, I'm there with you.
Yeah, and then you get friends to lovers, where you have both of the pairings that we've talked about already, Ron and Hermione, Harry and Ginny.
Nice.
But then I'd also like to submit George and Angelina.
Yeah. George and
That's
Angelina.
true.
Also,
Yeah.
you
Off
could,
page.
you could make an argument for Remus and Tonks.
Yes.
That's
So
true.
it's
Yeah.
not, their
Definitely
friendship
can.
isn't seen nearly as much as their unrequited
No.
love is seen.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Well,
If we're also talking fake
adding
ones,
a new category down here.
if we're also talking fake ones, Sirius and Remus, Peter
Mhm.
Pettigrew and his finger,
Stop.
That's so bad.
Kreacher and Dobby, or Dobby and Winky, or Love Triangle, Kreacher, Dobby, Winky.
Oh, Dobby.
Wait, you're saying that Dobby and Kreacher are friends to lovers?
Yeah.
They're
not friends.
enemies
It's
to
all-
lovers, right?
Sophia, none of this is real.
No, I know, but I'm like, I was just expecting the friends part was at least going to be in the text. No, okay.
But, you know, they become best friends after not Deathly Hallows, Half-Blood Prince, where they hunt down and observe Draco together. And over those
Sure.
long days of studying Draco, they begin to feel something
That's-
for one another. I
Forced
guess that would be straight up just
proximity.
enemies to
Later.
lover.
Forced
Okay,
proximity,
all right.
that's later.
All right, fine.
There's a whole section for that.
I
too.
accept the whacking of this idea.
Let's see. There's so many tropes, but we have the makeover. You know, girl straightens her hair, takes off her glasses, and suddenly she's amazing.
Book 4!
I submit book 4 Hermione and literally anyone except for Crumb because he already liked her.
Oh my god, the
Shout
Princess
out
Diaries.
Princess Diaries.
Oh my god, I forgot about the Princess Diaries. That's a great rom-com.
Oh,
I
so
know.
good.
Princess
It's in San Francisco,
Diaries.
too.
So good.
God, the
So
butler.
good.
So good. Anyways, yeah, the makeover's a great one.
Amazing.
We definitely get a makeover with Hermione, and we kind of get a makeover in Harry's heart towards Ginny, but it's very different.
Yeah, I'll give you that. You could have a literal makeover with Tonks. She can change into whatever she wants.
True.
Very true.
That's a whole different category.
But we also have...
That's a different,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
different one. I submit to you the catfish or mistaken identity. Tonks being whoever the heck that she wants.
And also, Polyjuice Ginny is Cho in book 4, which is super canonical and not headcanon at all.
Are you just gonna gaslight us into like believing all of these?
Yes.
1000% every episode.
There's at least one attempt in every episode to gaslight people into believing something, but in this one, there's just all of them. The whole rest of this is just me gaslighting everybody.
You've been warned.
Let's see. We have the fake relationship, which we don't have any successful examples of this in canon. But we do have attempts. We have the Hermione and Cormac fake relationship for jealousy reasons. And then we have a minor moment of Harry and Luna fake relationship just to scare away all the Romilda Vanes of the world.
That's, and I would say that's more movie-ism than it is a real bookism, although it's a bit of a bookism. But way more,
Wait.
they set up the tension between those characters way more in the movie than they do in the book, in my opinion.
Really? I didn't even feel like the movie... I never noticed any tension between the characters.
There's that one moment where Luna walks up next to Daniel Radcliffe's character, and they kind of have a meet of their eyes that fueled non-book readers into believing that Luna was going to be the true love interest for
I never knew
like
that.
years.
To me,
Yeah.
that never... It just seemed like Luna being Luna. I just, like, never saw
Yes,
anything
but
there.
Sophia, you in general are smarter than the average moviegoer.
True. And I read the books
We're
first.
smarter than the average bear. So yeah, we don't have any like good examples of that. I don't even know. I couldn't even come up with one that I would like want to see, I guess, except for Harry and Draco just challenging each other into becoming a relationship because neither of them will back down from a challenge.
I
Which one
love
is
that
this?
I've
in our
mentioned
Draco.
this I mentioned this in our Draco.
I love that. I fell in love with that. So.
Shipping Draco.
Yes, definitely listen to Shipping Draco if you haven't already. We have two.
Yes, so good.
We have
I was
two
always-
moments of. Sorry.
I was always the fake relationship that's actual headcanon in Harry's head is Pince and Filch.
No, that's not a fake
They're
relationship.
later. Workplace romance.
They're not fake.
No, he doesn't think they're fake.
They're
no,
totally real.
It's fake, but he thinks it's real.
Well, how do we know it's fake?
I think it's real.
I think
Because
it's
it never
real.
shows up in the text.
Real.
There's no canonical reason to support it. That's in text.
And when has that stopped us before?
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Suddenly I've gone from gaslighting to being reasonable. I see the shift.
Who are you? What have you done with Sam?
You're trying to go against our gaslight.
I'll just zag
He's
whenever
trying
you
to
zig. It's
confuse
fine.
us into agreeing.
It's called the weave.
Okay, then we get the love triangle.
Wait, can I say
so you get
one quick thing about the fake relationship
Yes, please.
thing?
Go for it.
1000%.
We have interesting situations of like faking not being in a relationship. So like we have Harry, I mean, I guess Harry technically breaks up with Ginny, but like he's doing that in order to not let like Voldemort know that he and Ginny are a thing. So it's like kind of almost the opposite of the trope is like we are in love with each other, but we're faking as if we're not in order for some external reason. So I thought that was interesting because I've never really seen that in romances before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a fascinating point.
That's a good one.
And so would you argue
Yeah.
then that Hermione and Ron are just faking not being in a relationship for all 7 years?
No, I wouldn't, because the whole thing with the fake relationship thing is like there is a reason, like some sort of external reason that brings them into this fake relationship. But in Harry and Ginny's case, it's like an external reason that brings them into faking that they're not
yeah.
in a relationship or not in
Yeah.
love with each other. Yeah.
So then
And that they
Gilderoy-
both decide to like play along with that.
Gilderoy is just pretending
Some-
to be single instead of dating himself the whole time. Anyways, the love triangle. Please explain this to us, Sierra.
Yes.
I've never heard of this. Is this something that's in media quite often?
Yes, I love triangle. We have many a love triangle. Ron, Hermione, and Crumb. Ron, Hermione, and Harry in Ron's mind. Ron, Hermione, and Cormac. See fake relationship. Ron, Hermione, and Lavender.
And then we've got what's
And
called
then we get-
the love dangle.
Yes.
Which is Cho, Cedric, Harry, which is when one of the people is clutching to one of the people in the triangle, but not connected to the other one. See, like Snape, James, and Lily. Love triangle? Not really.
Wait, how is that not a love triangle?
Because there's no actual interest from Lily in Snape.
Oh, okay. I understand that part, but I think with Harry, Cho, and Cedric, Cho is
It's
interested in both
almost a
of
love
them.
dangle. Because Cho is committed to Cedric, but she obviously has feelings, but it's almost a love dangle in my head.
I don't think it's a love dangle. Like, as in, I think if Harry had asked her first, she would have said yes. So it was just like,
I think it's a missed opportunity.
yeah, it was like a missed opportunity. Like, I think she was equally interested in both of them before she went on a date with Cedric, and then once she got on a date with Cedric, she was like,
right.
he's really great. I want to date him, you know?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. You've got the polar opposites trope, so like rich and poor or popular and unpopular. Technically Harry and Ginny, he's
For rich and
filthy
poor.
stinking rich and she's poor.
You got
until she
smart and
becomes
dumb with Ron and
international
Hermione.
Quidditch superstar.
I was literally going to say the same thing. I was like, that's really harsh, but
I
it's
wasn't
true.
going to be so mean, but yeah.
Yeah. We got Ferenz and Trelawney. One's an animal and one's a human. That's opposites.
Oh my god.
I think even with like Hagrid and Madame Maxine, like their size obviously is the same, but she is like this very like sophisticated French,
Suave
and he
versus
is more
bumbling.
like what?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Suave versus
I was-
bumbling.
Yeah.
I was kind of going to say Remus and Tonks, but that's more of like an age thing, which on its own is a different trope almost.
I think
like
you
the
could do a
age difference.
personality
True.
thing though, because it's extroverted and introverted.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that can go into polar opposites for sure.
Aberforth and goats.
Yeah.
Again, human versus non-human.
No.
Well, like Dumbledore and
we've got to-
Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Good versus evil.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nagini and Wormtail.
Forced. Shush. He does have to milk her. Sorry, not sorry.
Immediate rejection of what I was saying, and then absolute addition to what I was saying. I love it.
We were all thinking it, though.
That's our friendship in a nutshell.
Yeah, for real.
You're wrong. I mean, but only kind of.
It's called the hesitant yes and.
It's a no but.
That's true.
Forced proximity. That's my favorite Hermione trope. I'm just gonna put it out there. Love me a forced proximity Hermione. But Hermione Ron, you could argue, especially for like on the camping situation, but also that could have been a Hermione Harry.
Yeah.
Should it have gone? Could it? Well, what is the word I'm looking for? If it had gone in that direction, it could have turned into a forced proximity.
Especially
because I
Deathly
think
Hallows.
that's really the only. Yeah, I think that's really the only way that they get together if everything happens exactly as it does in canon.
I mean, that's what J.K. Rowling said is like that was the only moment she saw Harry Hermione as a thing was like in that forced proximity.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, I would say. Oh, sorry. Go for it, Sarah.
No, go for it.
I would say like Hagrid and Madame Maxime, like they have that forced proximity when they're going to the Giants, and like before that point, they had been sort of, you know, he was ignoring her, didn't want to talk to her anymore, and then they have this like shared goal, and by the time he gets back, he's all like misty-eyed over her again. So
yeah, that's a great point.
That is a good one.
So would that mean Sirius and Buckbeak then too?
No. But I could... I put a question mark on this next one for Lupin and Tonks because we don't know enough about how exactly they get together.
Yeah, but they are forced through proximity with the Order. Like, I think you could very much argue that, yeah.
That was my argument. So
I
that's
feel like
my one.
They're very much like a work relationship in the beginning,
right.
And then, yeah.
Because I think, and you guys can tell me if you think this is wrong, but like forced proximity to me is like where there's something either because they don't like each other or because there's some sort of external obstacle because like one of them is dating someone else that makes it so that like that creates some tension in that forced proximity. Like it's like forced proximity, but like there's a tension of like it's not just like forced proximity as in like, oh, we're just hanging out a lot together. It's like there's
like Harry and Ginny when Ginny's dating other people.
Yeah. But they're on the Quidditch team together. There's a forced proximity because he has to see her all the time, but she's dating other people. And you could argue Lupin and Tonks eventually turns into that because Tonks falls for Lupin and Lupin says no, but they still are forced into proximity with each other.
They're actually not forced into proximity with each other because basically that whole book, Lupin is gone like with the werewolves. So like they're more like...
Yeah, but they're still in and around each other. Tonks doesn't lose her feelings for him.
They're not really around each other. Like, I actually don't... Like, we never actually see them together at all in Book 6, except at the very end. And everything we hear is that Lupin is off with the werewolves. So I actually don't think they spend any time together, and I think Lupin tries to keep it that way.
He's only off with the werewolves until Christmas. He doesn't go back to them afterwards. So I think you could argue that there's a forced proximity just due to the nature of them being at headquarters.
Wait, how do you know that he doesn't go back to them?
No, because he says, I've been there, but he never says that I'm going back. So if we're arguing that you can or cannot say something, you could not say that he goes back to the werewolves just as much as you say, you could not say that he isn't at headquarters.
Doesn't Tonks get all freaked out? This is after Christmas when there's a report of a werewolf attacking a kid, and she freaks out and goes to Dumbledore, and she says to Harry, like, oh, I was just, like, wondering if you've heard anything from anyone in the Order, like, you know, if anyone writes to you, like, I, you know, like, want to know if Dumbledore has any news of what's going on. So, like, to me, that's clear evidence that Lupin is off with the werewolves at that time, and that she has no way of knowing what's going on. I think it's clear evidence
that Tonks associates Remus with werewolves and doesn't know what he's doing, and that's good evidence in terms of you saying that they're definitely not together. But it's not necessarily evidence that he's with the werewolves. It's just that Tonks is sort of like, I'm desperate for any piece of information. A werewolf was mentioned. The guy I love is a werewolf, but I don't think it's actual evidence that he's there with them.
Okay, well, either way,
Okay.
I think I don't
remove
think
them
that
from forced proximity.
proximity
For sure.
is the,
We
the
can do
one
that.
for them. Yeah.
We'll put them in the workplace romance.
Yeah, workplace romance.
Great.
There you go.
But in forced proximity, which we talked about, Kreacher and Dobby.
For sure, 100%. They start out with a lot of tension because they don't like each other. Dobby loves Harry. Kreacher hates Harry. And then they start to fall for each other as they have these long days of observing Draco.
Yes. Then we've got like second chances. So people who it doesn't work out the first time around. I'd argue Harry and Cho. I think that
Yeah,
could be
I
like
can
a
see
second
that.
chance because he didn't get the chance the first time around. And and then what I could argue that I would want to see would be a Sirius and Lupin.
Stop deleting my marks. It's Bella and Tom Riddle. They get a second chance. It didn't work
No,
out the
it is
first
not.
time. And they absolutely
Nope.
get a second chance in Deathly Hallows,
Nope.
okay?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Tom
Okay,
Riddle.
Lost Memories is the next
Wait,
one.
sorry, can I say one more thing on second chances?
Yes.
I
Yes,
would
please.
say that, like, Ron and Hermione is kind of a second chance, because, like, Ron messes up twice. Like, he messes up on, like, actually it's a third chance. He messes up on asking her to the Yule Ball. He messes
Yeah, he
up
does.
on going to Slughorn's party with her, and then finally gets a third chance. So I would say that's a
Does he?
third
Would you
chance.
argue it might be a fourth chance because he messes up when he leaves, and then the Deluminator leads him back?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see that.
Mhm.
It's not, like,
Mhm.
specifically romantic, but yes, I could totally
100%.
see that.
Yeah.
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 I was just
I like
thinking, James and Lily for second chances.
Oh.
But then that got me
100%.
realizing
They're enemies
we
to
missed
lovers.
them for enemies to lovers.
They're enemies
yeah.
to lovers. Yeah, we missed that.
They're totally both of
Yeah.
these. They're enemies to lovers and second chance, I think.
And then Snape
So,
was hoping for a
Yeah.
second
Yeah,
chance
he was
after. He's like,
hoping for-
please kill James.
yeah.
Oh,
Fucked up.
Yeah, then we get like Lost Memories. And I submit Gilderoy Lockhart and Gladys Gudgeon.
Yes! I love it.
Yeah, I love it. It works great. No notes.
Workplace romance. We've talked about a couple.
Gilderoy and himself. Filch and Pence.
Yes, Gilderoy and himself. Bill and Fleur.
Yes, a great one.
Gosh, that would be such a great. I would love that. Like how they got together because they just show up and it's like, hey, we were working together, and there you go. I'm like, what? I want to see that. I think that would be super cute.
Quick question. Does Albus and Grindelwald count as forced proximity?
I think that was, like, chosen proximity. Like, they became friends.
Yeah,
And, like, they
Yeah.
decided to spend a lot of time together. I think that's different than, like,
Because
there was nothing
They just
forced about it.
happened to be in the same place.
Like, they were neighbors.
It's not like they were locked in
Yeah.
the same house.
Yeah,
is it just in
like-
my head that Grindelwald is not there by choice? That he's there specifically because he got expelled or something? Or is that just my head canon?
Sure, he is not completely there by choice, but he isn't forced to spend time with Albus.
Dumbledore. But he is forced to be
Yeah.
near him. Is my understanding of proximity. So maybe my definition of forced proximity is just wrong.
It's not how I would see
Maybe.
forced proximity. Like, if they're actively like, we really want to spend time with each other, and that's what we're choosing,
Yeah.
then that isn't, like,
Got it.
That's
But, so
just-
because Grindelwald is coming over and Albus is going over, it's not forced proximity, even though Grindelwald is forced to be there.
and also
Yeah,
Albus
right.
is forced to be
Well-
there in a way, too, because he has to
Yeah.
take care of his kids. Not his
Yeah.
kids,
Mhm.
his siblings.
His siblings.
But I don't think I don't think them spending time with each other is forced. Like, if it was something where, like, they were enemies and then they were forced to be neighbors and then they fell for each other, that would be like a forced proximity
Got
trope.
it.
But yeah,
Mhm.
Anyways, sorry. Back to workplace romance. You have Filch and Pence, Bill and Fleur.
We moved Tonks and Lupin over here.
Nice. Excellent.
And then that's all I can think of. I mean, I'm sure there's other ones that
Arthur
we
and
can make up.
Sparkplugs.
No. Yeah, and then there's some other kind of tropes that I couldn't personally think of any examples in the text for. I mean, there's no arranged marriages. But then we've got unrequited love, which we do have quite a few of those. Lupin and Tonks, Victor and Hermione.
You could even argue Ginny and Harry in the beginning.
Yeah,
when it was very one-sided.
Yeah, yeah.
Snape.
Ginny and Harry for a while. Snape. There's a lot more examples of that. Sam is on a roll with his jokes.
Sorry, I just...
Bagman and Gold, Goblins and the Sword of Gryffindor, Basilisk, and actually killing people instead of just petrifying them.
Oh my god.
And I guess to support Irvin here, there's some unrequited love with Sirius's motorbike and Arthur Weasley's flying car that eventually they fall for each other and they have little tricycle babies.
I love that, actually.
There you go.
I feel like I just had one.
Okay, into the next section. Turning Harry Potter into a rom-com. Sierra, you have many feels.
I have feels. Okay. So the way I see it, there's two ways to turn Harry Potter into a rom-com. You either do it as one overarching story where all 7 books are just one story that's one kind of like a rom-com show. Or you can do it book by book where each one is its own individual rom-com in and of itself. I think as an overarching story, Ron becomes the main character.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the witty humor. He's got the clearest through line of a romance throughout all of the books.
Yes.
With the additional interested parties that cause drama and the jealousy and the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you have to make Half-Blood Prince X-rated, though?
Why?
Because of Lavender Brown.
Oh, yes. I don't know about X-rated.
I'm not sure
Definitely
X-rated.
R.
Yeah, like...
Okay.
You can have
and you can have fade
PG
to
rom-com.
yeah. You can have like fade to black
have a
scenes,
PG
like
rom-com.
fade to black.
Yeah.
That's very classic in rom-coms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, that's what happens in that we come out of the tower and we see them running up the stairs. So it's kind of already there. Yeah. So I feel that's my kind of thought in general is that an overarching story, Ron becomes the main character.
Yeah.
Amy, you disagreed with me.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if it was turned into a rom-com, Harry would still kind of maintain those main character vibes with Ron as like the comedic side character. Because a lot of rom-coms have like the funny best friend.
Notting Hill.
Yeah. I feel like Harry is clueless enough about girls and like has all these girl troubles that could be more emphasized for comedic relief.
See,
Why do they always
I
travel
think
in
that his
packs is a
cluelessness
great
makes
rom-com line.
What?
Why do they always travel in packs is a great rom-com line.
Yes.
That's so true.
Yeah. Arguably, either one could be main and either one could end up side,
Yeah.
depending on which parts of the plot you want to, like,
Right.
really focus on, I guess.
And you could have,
True,
like,
true,
there are
true.
lots of different styles of rom-coms, so, like, not all of them have one main couple. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
Love
Yeah.
Actually, for example, is all, like, lots of different couples. Or, like, the TV show of Four Weddings and a Funeral is, like, following, like, these, this group of, like, 4 friends. So, it, like, you know, different scenes will go back and forth between their different love stories. So I think you could have, you know, more than one main couple or
Yeah.
romance that you're following. I don't think you have to pick one that's the main one.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
That's true.
That's true. So that was also kind of my argument with if you do it on a book by book standpoint, my main issue with having the first couple of books focus on children is that they're children. So I liked it more. If you're going to focus on like a Ron Hermione, it works better as an overall. Because I later will discuss who could potentially be, if we are going to split it up, then I have options on that for different pairings that could make for more interesting ideas there. But doing the whole storyline, keeping much of the general kind of vibe the same, but then just really focusing in on Ron and Hermione. I think books 1 through 3 become like the groundwork. So this is where you have the meet cute in the train compartment. They're enemies. They become friends. The closeness kind of starts. Even the like enemies to friends moment is a very like classic rom-com-y thing of like, I would never date her. And, you know, Ron insulting Hermione, causing her to cry in the bathroom, which then leads to them becoming friends. That whole thing, I think is a very like classic kind of rom-com moment. There's even time travel in there. If you liked some time travel with your rom-com. Book 4 is where it becomes ripe with potential.
Pause.
I'm pausing. I'm pausing.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, I disagree. I think you can make, it doesn't have to be all awkward because they're so young. I think that you can make books 1 through 3, which are clearly more of the children's book, sort of more of a children's rom-com a la like The Parent Trap, which is a rom-com for kids where the emphasis is on the adults. So you could do like a Parent Trap or 101 Dalmatians. The live action one is definitely a rom-com again for kids, where the young people, in this case the puppies, or in Parent Trap, Lindsay Lohan being a twin, get people, the adults, more involved in their romance. So you don't have to like hit the weird notes of like, hey, these kids are like 11, 12, and 13 before we get to 14, where suddenly it's a little bit more acceptable to have a little bit of cute romance in there. So Sorcerer's Stone could be about giving Quinius Quirrell some couples counseling with this mysterious partner of his that nobody knows. Chamber is about the 101 acromantula babies that you have to take care of. And Prisoner is all about helping Mr. and Mrs. Weasley get back together after a huge debacle in Egypt.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I both agree and disagree. I would say actually, I mean, I'm all for having more of the adults having cute romances or whatever. But actually, personally, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while, is like, I think that adults get really weird about the idea of 11, 12, 13-year-olds being romantically interested in each other, but it's just the reality of people of that age. Like, if you ever spend time with people of that age, they all have crushes on each other. And, like, some of them are going on dates, holding hands, having their first little kisses, and, whatever. It's like, adults don't want to treat that as the reality because we feel weird about it. But it's not weird. Like, it's not weird at all. Well, yeah.
Adults project something, like, far less innocent onto it than what it is to the kids involved, I think.
Right. And so I think you could 100% have the Harry Ginny, the Ron Hermione, all of that in the first 3 books, and it could just be like things where, I don't know, like Ron has a bit of a crush on some like cute girl and like
on Rosmerta.
Yeah, sure. Rosmerta. Although they don't go to Hogsmeade until book 3. But yeah, Rosmerta in book 3, or like, and Hermione's acting kind of jealous and, whatever, or vice versa, or like
with Gilderoy Lockhart.
And like we have little bits of it, like, okay, classic, like absolutely classic rom-com moment. One of my favorite moments in book 2 is when Ginny sends the singing Valentine to Harry. And it's like,
so good.
It's the most classic rom-com moment because it is that sort of like, it's chaos, it's ridiculous, it's like everyone getting embarrassed. So embarrassing. Like embarrassing for everyone in like pursuit of love. And like Harry is like thrown onto the ground by this like ugly little dwarf who like stays on him and like, starts singing to him about like his eyes being like fresh pickled toads. And like, it is hilarious. And like, I think you could 100% have the first 3 books with just like all filled with ridiculous moments like this. Like maybe in book 2, it's like Ginny is spending like the whole time like trying to send Harry like different little messages of her love, and Harry just keeps on running away, or like, I don't know, it could be anything, but I think you could totally do it without it being like, with keeping that very like innocent middle grade tone to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a rom-com at all, but you talking about that just made me think of Bridge to Terabithia.
Oh, yeah.
That's a sad movie.
The opposite of a rom-com.
Yeah.
But
Well, there is a romance in the movie.
Exactly.
For very small kids,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think that I just think it looks slightly different than, like, your typical rom-com. I think there are definitely moments, which is why I think that, like, as an overarching story, it works, like, for either couple, essentially. And so you have, like, I mean, yeah, so you have, like, the groundwork and stuff. But, yeah, you could turn it into each one is its own, like, individual kids version.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd focus more on the com than
now
the
that I'm
rom,
thinking about
you
it,
know?
now I'm thinking of so many.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, now I'm thinking of so many things. Spy Kids.
Yep.
With Gertie, right? Is that her name?
And the thing is,
Gertie.
I would argue that,
Stranger
like,
Things?
that more kids of that age, like, really need and want representations of romance that make sense for their age group, because I think a lot of kids
Yeah.
of that age who want to, like, who are interested in sort of romance then start, like, reading or watching things that are meant for, like, 16, 17-year-olds or meant for adults or whatever, and they don't get to see, like, what does it look like for people my age to engage in this.
Mm-hmm. Not me reading fanfic way too young.
Right? I mean, like, the thing is, I think a lot of adults are like, oh, like, kids can't deal with that. It's like, most kids read above their age level. And, like, I think that, romance also, like, it would be nice for kids who aren't ready to read about, like, sex scenes or whatever to read about just, like, more, cute first dates and first kisses and, stuff like that.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we've been mentioning, Love Actually does a nice job with the little romance between the small child and
Right.
your rival.
Your rival. And we start to get a little bit in, like, book 3. Like, we have, like, Harry, like, finding Cho Chang cute, and we have, like, Hermione and Ron having more of their little, like, fights with each other and stuff, and, like, and I think you could get some, like, if you were to make them rom-coms, you could have more, like, funny moments where, like I love in the 4th movie when Harry drinks the orange juice and then smiles at Cho Chang and the orange juice just falls out of his mouth. Like, that is a classic rom-com moment, and, like, I think you could have gotten in book 3 more moments where he, like, sees Cho in the hallway and he just, like, trips and falls and, like, just, like, makes a total fool of himself. Like, I would have loved that.
All right. Well, Sierra, moving forward with book 4, what were your thoughts?
Oh, okay. So this is it. I'm sticking to the, like, if it's one overarching,
Yes.
all 7 are crammed into, like, one film, quote, quote, quote. Book 4, ripe with potential.
Yes.
Follows through on all the closeness that's established in books 1 through 3. You put a rival into the mix. You've got the Yule Ball, which is just, like, a perfect rom-com, like, setting.
The learning
You've got
to
the crumb
dance
conflict.
moment.
Exactly. You've got the jealousy. You've got the hormones. You've got the will they, the won't they. It really, like, starts in. You get the kind of moments of, like, well, maybe they won't after all, and they'll just stay friends. Maybe he's messed it up by being kind of a jerk.
You've
So I
got
think
a
that's,
journalist dangerously speculating about the romantic interests of teenagers.
Yep.
So appropriate.
Totally ethical.
Speaking of things that are actually not appropriate.
Mrs. Weasley believing Rita Skeeter.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, you've got, like, that is where things kind of, like, really ramp up.
Yeah.
I'd say that's, hour 1 of a film, of a rom-com movie. Like, we've reached hour 1 of, like, really getting into it. here's all the conflicts. They're fighting all the time. They're having all their issues. They're having these fights, but then getting over them. But there's still that through line of like, but what if you went with somebody else? What if we didn't end up together type of thing. Mm-hmm. Book 5. I think this is where the romance takes a little bit of a step back to make room for more of the tension and more of the humor to take a front seat. Which I think is also, it makes sense kind of in that through line. Like it's also when now the friends are kind of like, wait, aren't you guys gonna be together? No, we're not gonna do that. We're taking a step back from that. Okay, sure. And both of them are like denying everything, and then it like is really kind of setting the stage for like book 6, which is already a rom-com.
Well, I think if you're going
from Ron's perspective,
if you're going from Ron's perspective in book 5, I think this is when you have a shift, right? Like for New Girl, we go from like Nick and Jessica, it shifts over to Cece and Schmidt very quickly. In Friends, it's Rachel Ross, but then it shifts over to Chandler and Monica. And so I think this is when you have to shift over to Harry being the main character again, if you've gone with Ron's perspective the whole time. Because you could go with like Ron's jealousy of the fact that Harry's actually in a relationship, but like all that stuff with Cho plus Jelly Ginny in the background being like, "Gah, what do I do?" is I think is the high point of this movie.
I agree. Sure. And like speaking of like classic rom-com scenes, like I think in my opinion, in terms of like the actual like comedy, awkwardness, embarrassment side of rom-coms, like the two biggest are the dwarf scene and then the Madame Puttyfoots. Like Madame Puttyfoots is just like total classic rom-com cringe, and it's so good. And it has that like misunderstanding element, like where it's like Cho thinks he's going on like a date with Hermione afterwards, and it's like trying to make him jealous, and Harry has no idea she's making him jealous, and like. It's just like total. It's
Enter
like
Roger Davies. It's
so it's such a shame that the movies didn't show either of these two scenes. So anyway, if Harry and Cho, like this is just a very like what if Harry and Cho had their own like. Were in a rom-com on their own, like, forget about Ginny, or like, or Ginny could be there as like,
Oh my god. What a fantastic title for that movie. Forget about Ginny.
Forget about Ginny. Like, Ginny could be there as, like, a potential other option, but, like, he decides to go with Cho. Like, you could totally imagine book 5 as being, like, or, like, books 4 and 5 together as being, like, the Harry and Cho romance. And, like, if Harry and Cho had managed to get over that whole misunderstanding, and if there hadn't been the Marietta stuff, like, you can imagine this as, like, one rom-com where it's, like, there's the love triangle where, like, Harry, like, misses his chance with Cho, and, he's jealous of Cedric, and Ginny's trying to get with him, but, like, and then they finally get together, but she's mourning Cedric, and, like, they have this huge blowout and misunderstanding, and it's embarrassing and whatever, and then they, like, figure things out and get together. Like, you could have a rom-com that's, like, just that.
Mm-hmm. Their second chance moment is Deathly Hallows, and she actually shows him the Ravenclaw common room instead of Luna.
Shows him the Ravenclaw common room.
It writes itself.
Yes. Joe, why are we in your dormitory? Why isn't anybody else in here? The tiara, it's
Harry,
under my bed.
Clueless as ever.
Romilda Vane's in there. I have a cupcake for you. Get out of here, Romilda. Why are all the Ravenclaws the ones who are lusting after Harry?
Wait, what do you mean the Ravenclaws?
It's just Romilda. Oh no, she's
Romilda
a Gryffindor.
is a Gryffindor. Yeah.
It's fine. It's cool. I got it. I was there eventually. Got it in one shot. Didn't need anybody's help. What are you talking about? Book 6, like you mentioned, Sierra, is already a rom-com from, if you put it in Ron's perspective.
Yes. 100%. You've got the rival on the other side. Each person only realizing their feelings for the other one when the other one isn't available. They're making each other jealous. Yeah, from Ron and Hermione's perspective, you basically don't have to change much.
Yep.
You just like kind of add more Lavender, add more Cormac, and you have a little moment at the end where Lavender and Cormac get together, and there you go.
Yes.
Well,
That's
plus
hilarious.
you also have like the Romilda vein of it all, where
Yes.
sure it's Romilda and
Mhm.
Harry, but then Ron gets roped in via the love potion.
Exactly.
So it
Yeah, and like if you're
100%.
making that like more rom-com heavy, because that has a lot of rom-com potential, and it's a very funny scene in both the book and the movie. But like if we're making this like, you know, a total classic rom-com, like Ron is gonna take a while before they get him the love potion antidote. Like he is gonna go
Yeah.
around like declaring his
100%.
love for Romilda Vane. Like
Mhm.
there is gonna be drama. Like, you know, that
Middle of the Great
exactly.
Hall.
He's gonna be
Mhm.
like, you know, making a big banner of like, I love Romilda Vane, like going up to the like, you know,
He's gonna sing.
Yeah. going up to like
Her eyes
the
are
front
as
where
green as a fresh pickled
10
toad.
things I hate about you.
Okay. Oh wait, imagine this. Like, okay, this.
What if?
We have like Ron going like on a rampage in his love for Romilda Vane, and then we have like cutting to scenes of Harry like desperately trying to get all of the ingredients to make a love potion antidote, and like or like running to Slughorn's office, realizing that Slughorn is on vacation that weekend, like, you know, trying to get the ingredients, getting stopped by Snape, being like, you know, like you could have all of the drama of like Harry trying to save the day while Ron is like going and doing more and more ridiculous things and like, you know, it would be awesome.
That would be great.
That would be great.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. There's all sorts of lovely
It's
stuff in book
already
6.
fantastic.
Amy, did you already say your part about
Yes.
Harry and Romilda? I cannot.
yeah.
Okay, great. Book 7,
Yeah.
Sierra, you have some ideas. I have some
Yeah.
ideas too, which you've thankfully put a strike through, which I will still read. But go ahead.
Yes, I did. No, you will not.
I will.
So book 7, that's when you have like the last second dramatic leaving or misunderstanding moment of no, but we can't actually be together, and then they break up or they are apart from each other and then they come together at the very end. So I think you have to change this one a little bit, but you have Ron leaving, but then they come back together at the Battle of Hogwarts. They have their moment with the chamber, and then they have the kiss, and then just everything else resolves itself in the background.
Okay, but do you do the chamber kiss, or do you do the original book where they kiss because Ron is like, we gotta free the house elves, we gotta make sure they're okay?
Yeah, no, you do that. I'm saying like they do the chamber, then they come out.
Oh, I see.
They do
And
the
then-
chamber.
They do the chamber.
Explore her chamber of
So you do,
secrets.
like, you have him show up, they go and they have their chamber idea, then they come out, then they do the house elf moment, they have the original kiss, and then that's what, like, everything resolves itself, or they just go off and immediately get married in the kitchens with all the house elves.
Oh
Yes.
my god, that'd be so
Witnesses.
Dobby
And then they come out.
officiates.
cute. Okay,
Pirates of the
Dobby
Caribbean.
can't die in this version so that he can officiate. Yes.
Pirates of the Caribbean
Exactly.
style, where Dobby is battling
Yes.
people, but also pronouncing
Yes.
them married.
Yes. I love it.
Oh my gosh! If you're doing,
Or if we still want Dobby to die, maybe Kreacher could officiate.
God, what a line! Who wants Dobby to die? Do you want to make little children
I-
cry? My goodness!
You gotta have something happen.
Not
right?
in a rom-com. You
gotta
don't.
have some drama.
Yeah, the rom-com Deathly Hallows, I think, is like basically not the plot of Deathly Hallows. It's
Everyone
just
lives.
No. Yeah.
It's like they're camping a
It is-
lot.
It is a very pared down.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of camping, and then all of a sudden Voldemort just gets defeated, and that's that, and they
Yeah.
fall in love. You know,
I think
Exactly.
you
Yes.
defeat Voldemort at the beginning, and then the whole rest of the movie is just about who's going to get together now.
They go on like a camping trip,
Yeah.
and it's just a fun little vacation
celebrate.
outing, you know, instead of going into hiding.
Harry plans the camping trip, and Hermione's like, "But like, there's these huge celebrations, and everyone wants to say congratulations to you." And he mirrors Dumbledore's lines. So, yeah, wouldn't it be best to be away from all of that? goes camping. I think if you are going to kind of stick closely to the Deathly Hallows plotline, you're going to have to play up the Golden Trio's romantic tension, especially, that love triangle between Harry, Hermione, and Ron. And this can even mirror, at the same time, you could have a love triangle between Valdi, Bella, and Bellatrix's cuckolded husband, whoever you name, something Lestrange. No. And he can leave the manor to set up Bella and Valdi's final experience together just when Ron does. And it seems like it's going to work out for Voldemort, but it's not going to work out for Ron and Hermione. And then it flips, right? Because we go ahead and kill Valdi, but Ron comes back and he gets to kiss Hermione on the great steps.
Another thing we could do, because I don't love the, creating a love triangle between Harry, Ron, and Hermione, because then it means that, Ron would never, trust Harry again, and they'd never be able to be friends again. You can't really have that work super well or realistically. But what if Ginny comes with them on the camping trip, and it's Ginny and Harry have decided we can't be together, but there's this forced proximity, and maybe we could have the one bed trope put in there where it's there's not enough space in the tent, so they have to share, and
it's just an episode of Too Hot to Handle, but with very specific couples.
Basically. And I feel like there could be some other stuff, other ways to bring in the drama without making too much love triangle. But what it could be is to bring in the misunderstanding, to have there be more of the moments where Ron is convinced because of some sort of misunderstanding that Harry and Hermione are together. He just is convinced of this. That could be a way to create drama where it's and once we resolve the whole misunderstanding, we know that Harry was never trying to get with Hermione, and Hermione would never be interested in Harry, and it can all be happy.
Here's the easiest thing. Ron and Ginny go off to go talk to their family somehow, or send a letter or whatever, and they come back to the Harry and Hermione dancing moment.
Oh,
and so then they both are yeah.
And Ron and Ginny abandon them, and then
and then Harry and Hermione get together, therefore fulfilling the prophecy that Trelawney told in Half-Blood Prince in this version.
It's like a romantic comedy tragedy type. Yep. I don't know.
Very Shakespearean, where Ron and Harry duel with a poison-tipped wand at the end that keeps switching back and forth, and then everybody dies. It's Hamlet, but it's Harry Potter.
No. No.
That would mean Ginny and Hermione both drown in a river off screen without any knowledge, but a famous painting's made about it, so it's okay.
Yeah, so it's fine.
What if Harry Potter was Shakespeare? Oh no.
Oh boy.
Oh no, that's different. Okay. Anyway, yes. So I think that it works quite well as a one full story. But if we were to break this up, so let's step back for a little bit. And if we're to break up each book individually as its own romantic comedy, and you can focus on a completely different pairing every one. Who would make good or potentially cursed rom-com pairings in each book? For Sorcerer's Stone, Filch and Pince could be a cute little off-screen shenanigan. I think that could be fun. Also, Quirrell and Voldemort. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry Potter musical. Great. We're different as can be.
As can be.
I like Quirrell and Snape. Where
Quirrell and Snape?
Where both of them are attracted to the dark arts, and Snape and Quirrell were together, and Quirrell and Snape could never tell Quirrell that he was like actually, you know, this double agent or whatever, but Quirrell went off and like was drawn to Voldemort, and like, so they can understand each other in that way, but Snape is spending the whole book like trying to convince Quirrell to like not go the dark route, but also being like, how do I do this without like, you know, Voldemort, who's on the back of his head, being involved in this, and like, you know, how do I save him from himself and from Voldemort? And like, it'd be more like a romantic, probably tragedy, but maybe it wouldn't have to be a tragedy. If the kids weren't involved at all, it could be a like romantic story with a positive ending where like Quirrell does manage to like destroy Voldemort, and that's their like happy ending. They get to be together.
Or he still dies and it gives Snape more reason to hate Harry. But what a miserable kissing scene that would be for Voldemort. You got Snape and Quirrell making out, and Voldemort's just like, oh,
You're
God!
just stuck there. Third wheeling with no choice in the matter.
Yes. We're talking about force proximity.
All right, what about Chamber of Secrets?
Okay, my favorite. I'm gonna just start with my favorite. The other one is not my favorite. This one's my favorite. Lockhart and himself, a la Narcissus.
Nice.
Yes, I love this. I'm envisioning like a whole treatment where the entire movie is just him talking into the mirror, but you don't see the mirror until the end.
I love it.
And then it's like revealed that he's just been in love with himself the entire time.
What's that?
But you don't know that. You think it's like an off-screen lover.
What's that movie that the guy's imaginary the whole time? Ron something films it. The director. Oh, I can't remember his name. Anyways, it's like that movie. Ron Howard makes it. There's a movie that he makes where at the very end you realize that the character's imaginary the whole time and you have no idea, and it's a huge twist. That would be this movie.
There's a few of those, but I'm not going to say them just in case.
Yeah, correct.
I can think of a couple.
What else do you have, Sierra?
I would like to also have Lucius and Arthur.
Enemies to lovers. Just both rampantly
Enemies to
cheating on
lovers.
their spouses.
Here's what I want. I want Lucius and Arthur, enemies to lovers, but also it just becomes Grace and Frankie. And they're the gay husbands who divorce their wives, who then have to be forced proximity and live in the same house together. And so then Molly and Narcissa end up becoming besties.
Okay, so I've got a counterpart to that. At that time, Mrs. Weasley is also falling in love with, you guessed it, the car.
The car.
No.
Yes.
It's got
Oh my god! I
personality
mean,
and
that would be
everything.
enemies to lovers. That would be enemies to lovers.
Yeah. It's got a big door. I will also present to you a total left field shout out where I don't know if anybody knows
What,
this.
the others weren't left field?
Aragog and his wife, which Hagrid named the water spout, which there's a whole song about.
Oh, no.
The itsy bitsy spider
No.
went up the water spout, down came the rain and wiped the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, but the itsy bitsy spider Aragog went up the spout again. It's a great, there's already a whole song to do the whole plot about this movie for.
No. You're hurting me. Okay, this is like obviously like much just to go complete 180 much more standard in canon, but like you could have just like a Harry Ginny like cute love story that just like wraps up like is like just wraps up in that one book where it's like Ginny's in love with him, it's unrequited, and like Harry is starting to like get more interested in Ginny, but Ginny is also like fighting to not be possessed, and then like the moment when Ginny is gone and in the Chamber of Secrets and Harry thinks she's going to be dead, he's like, oh no, I realized that I have this big crush on her and I need to save her, and then he goes and saves her and then they have like a cute little like kiss on the cheek moment, and like yay.
I like it. It's very cute. I like it.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Sirius and Lupin.
Yeah, classic.
Come on.
Whole thing.
Come on.
It's great.
Yep. Boom. Done. It's already in there.
We've got also as options Peter and the completely oblivious that this man is not the janitor, Professor Trelawney, where they've been dating for years and years, as Peter's been coming back to the school as a rat. since Percy brought him over, so it'd be great.
Oh my god.
We also have Mrs. Norris and Crookshanks begrudging enemies to lovers.
Oh my god. That's actually pretty funny.
Right? It's just Flo, but with these two becoming lovers.
Great Disney movie you could have with the cats,
Yeah.
the cartoon cats.
Just Oliver and Company
falling in
meets
love.
Hogwarts.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Aristocats,
Yeah.
but...
I like it. Yes, Aristocats.
Moving on to Goblet of Fire.
Hagrid and Maxime. I mean, you
Mhm.
gotta... I think that that's a great one there. You could also do a Cedric and Cho. You just gotta change the ending.
Yeah, you have to change that.
You'd also have to change the ending,
Just
but
gotta change
Ginny
the ending.
absolutely giving cabin fever, waiting for Harry to notice she's amazing, and then they end up at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Totally
you
right.
need to add some comedy to all of those romances. Like, so far, I can see them all as romances,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not really as rom-coms.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah,
the point,
But
though,
I
is
think
that
that's...
if we
yeah.
make these pairings, they would become rom-coms.
Yes. So, like, these are just who would be the best option to turn it into a rom.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like Hagrid and Madame Maxime are probably the best, in my opinion, for a rom-com, because Hagrid already kind of, like, embarrasses himself all the time in front of Madame Maxime, or at least in the eyes of Harry and like, presumably most readers. They're like, oh my god, Hagrid is trying so hard and being so ridiculous. And I think that you could play that up really easily and make some more calm for their rom.
Yeah.
I think also you could
Absolutely.
posit Moody and Karkaroff, which would be a very strange, like, A24 rom-com, where it's Barty Crouch Jr. falling for Karkaroff, who's falling for his captor, Moody.
Oh my gosh.
Too many layers. Too confusing.
Just enough layers.
Well,
It's a great amount of
what
layers.
if it's
That's
like, or
mistaken
with
identity.
Snape? What if it's
Boom.
Snape?
Yeah.
It's like Moody and Snape, and it's like, you know, it's like Barty Crouch thinks that Snape has deserted the cause, and like,
But can't
and-
help himself.
but can't help himself. And Snape is scared of Moody because he thinks that Moody believes that he's still. It's like Barty Crouch believes that Snape has deserted the cause, and Snape thinks Moody thinks that he is still a Death Eater, and so like they're both trying to like figure out what the other person wants, or like trying to figure out how to, you know, play to the person they think that the person is, or whatever, and then they fall in love, and Barty Crouch actually decides to that all of his daddy issues have been healed, and he is no longer going to be a Voldemort supporter.
Amazing, and also, you know, whoever it is that Moody's falling in love with, there's going to be some quotable quote about the magical eye.
Oh, absolutely.
Order of the Phoenix, Sierra.
Neville and Luna.
Yeah.
I just
Hmm.
I'll never really get over them not happening. I think it was like set up
It would be
perfectly.
so cute.
Not everybody gets married
they
to the
would be
people that they
so
go to
adorable.
college with, though.
It says the guy who
Yeah, but
did.
you didn't. You married some rando in a bookshop.
So?
Your rom-coms meet cute, Sierra.
It'd probably be a pretty good one.
Excellent. Anyways, Neville and Luna, never going to happen, but it would be a cute one for this movie that these two sort of loners
Yes.
get together at the encouragement of the DA.
Yeah.
I also think that there's potential for it to turn into a horror movie at the end because Luna goes psycho in trying to kill Marietta Edgecombe, but that's a whole different movie.
We already did What If Harry Potter Was Horror, and you missed that chance.
I did miss it for that one. Anyways, going back, no, I'm kidding.
Wait, can I give a quick Marietta? Speaking of
Yes.
Marietta, I think
She
Cho and
loves her
Marietta.
acne.
I think
Oh,
Cho
okay.
Chang and
Aw.
Marietta. I think that
Yeah.
Marietta has a crush on Cho. I think that's the reason that she comes in the first place to the DA, even though she doesn't want to be there, but she's coming for Cho, and then she sees Cho is falling for Harry, and that's why she betrays them. But then, like, it all gets cleared up, and Cho and Marietta get together in the end.
Nice. So we're very,
I like it.
we're very
Yeah.
pro-ministry in this one. Wait, no, it's a tragedy though, because Marietta then forgets everything that she knows about Cho from this year. Because Dumbledore wipes her memory.
Well, not Dumbledore, but yeah.
Yeah,
She
Kingsley.
does.
Well, under
I guess she-
Dumbledore's orders.
I guess she forgets all of the DA meetings. That's not everything that she knows about Cho because they spend time with
From
each
this
other
year, that's
outside
all I'm
class.
saying. Sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like something has to change because, like, Marietta did, like, completely sell Cho out. But Cho forgave her as a friend. Why not forgive her as a girlfriend? But yeah, I would see it as, like, maybe not, like, I think something would have to change to make it not as pro-ministry and more just like, Marietta was a jealous and confused girl and like who was put under these pressures, and then like something has to change where she like realizes the error of her ways and she grows and changes as a person, and maybe at the end she like stands up against the ministry and like stands up against her mom and like goes out and fights in the battle of the Department of Mysteries, or I don't know, like you can make something up, but she needs to prove herself in some way, but I could see it happening.
Or the whole movie is cast with Harry being the villain because he's the one standing in Marietta's way. And so Dumbledore goes to jail, and Harry gets expelled, therefore leaving them finally free to pursue each other.
Perhaps in this version, Umbridge is like really nice and sweet and kind.
Indeed.
Oh boy.
Amy, go ahead on your thought on Order of the Phoenix.
Okay. I know that we already said Hagrid and Madame Maxime for Goblet of Fire, but I feel like their like potential for a great rom-com really heats up in Order of the Phoenix. I mean, you've got their giant quest, which we mentioned earlier, and like that whole adventure and all that time they spent together, sleeping in the cave, traveling together. There's just a lot of potential for some really great awkward moments, which I think would be perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
I like it.
And also
I
with
like
the
it a
whole
lot.
like them being very different from each other. But like in the caves and stuff, like she has to like be less of her like elegant fancy person and like be more down to earth. Like I've seen that a lot with rom-coms where like often it's the woman who they have her as like, oh, she couldn't possibly, get her shoes dirty. And then like she has to go to some place where she has to get her shoes dirty, and then like she becomes more down to earth or whatever, blah blah blah. Kind of sexist. But anyway, I could imagine that for Hagrid and Madame Maxime, where they're able to connect more over like her, being more like Hagrid in those, in that way.
Yeah. Now, posit me this for a second. Clear your thoughts of any preemptive no's. We get the meet cute in this movie, and then like 10 years later, these characters revisit and become lovers with Grupp and Hermione.
Oh my god.
No?
No.
Okay.
What I will say is that in the movie version, like they do almost make that seem like it could be a thing, but
it's very like original King Kong, where it's like they make King Kong fall in love with this woman, and he's like, it's really weird. It's a very odd shot.
She's sort of giving him these looks that like either are like, aw, how sweet, or like could be read as like, oh, yes, I'm feeling romantic feelings. Whereas book Hermione is just like, God, I never want to see him again.
Like, this man again, yeah. 100%.
So, yeah, movie Hermione and Grupp, I could unfortunately sort of see it, even though I don't want to.
Blind me now, Warner Brothers. Moving on to Half-Blood Prince.
So many.
Yeah.
So many. I think for Half-Blood Prince, the movie really should be centered on Hermione and Cormac versus Ron and Lavender, which for some reason in the notes I put Hermione and Lavender, which is also funny. But no, we're going to have Ron be part of this as well. And I think with all of those beats that you have there, sidelining Harry and Ginny's relationship off to the side is this almost Pink Panther sneak around comedy bit, I think is really funny, while you get these great moments that are already there. Like, is it Harry that tells Cormac these are Dragon Balls in the movie? And then he throws up on Snape's shoes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great romantic comedy bit where Harry, as the side supportive character of Ron, is trying to get his two best friends together. In the meantime, he's trying to get with Ginny. And I just think that it's just perfectly in the book already, and all you have to do is shift your perspective and then add in the comedy bits a lot more, as you said, Sophia.
I agree, and I think in the movie version, they bring in the comedy even more than in the book, with especially with Cormac and Hermione, where, like, Cormac and Hermione, like, in the book, there's no, like, any sort of tension, romantic sexual tension there. It's just, like, Hermione just decides who will piss Ron off, him. She asks him, he says yes. Like, that's most of it. Whereas in the movie, we have, like, you know, Cormac, like, licking, like, his finger seductively and, like, giving her these looks, and, like, you know, it's really funny. And we have him vomiting on Snape's shoes, and, like, so I think the movie already saw that potential and was like, yes, like, let's ramp it up, let's make it even funnier. And you know what would be really another possibility there is that we could have a fake dating situation where it's like Hermione and Cormac are, like, both going into this being like, we are interested in, like, Hermione's interested in Ron and Cormac is interested in Lavender, and they're doing it to make Lavender and Ron jealous, and, like, they don't really get along because their personalities are very different from each other, but, like, at the end, like, through all of this, they become friends with each other, and then they both end up with their, like, romantic partner of choice.
I need that scene, that shot of zooming in on Wanwan's necklace, and then zooming out away, after the J cut, zooming out away from Cormac doodling a Mac necklace on his, like, note paper.
Mac! Sorry. Mac!
I really need it. It would be great and fantastic and amazing. I really like this idea that it's Hermione and Cormac trying to get Ron and Lavender to break up so that they can date each other. I know that's a trope in many TV shows and movies, and I really like it for this one. But Sophia, you mentioned also the licking of the fingers. That stands out to me just as much as Harry spitting out the orange juice. Like, those are like same clip, same energy, different clips.
Actually, I'd say it's very different energy in that, like, one is very sexual and one is just very, like, embarrassing and, like, you know?
And I think that they accomplish the same thing, at least it did with me, in this sort of, like, jolt of, like, haha, that's funny, oh gosh.
Oh my god.
Sierra, you had several other couplings.
Yes, I did. I'm really enjoying this one though, because now I'm picturing, like, it was definitely Hermione's idea for Lavender to get the Wan necklace.
It says my sweetheart, to be clear. My sweetheart, yes.
Yes. The my sweetheart. No, it was Cormac's idea to call him Wan.
Yes.
It was Hermione's idea to get the my necklace. Sweetheart necklace.
But then he needs a necklace to say Mac. It's fine.
Exactly. That's why he picks Wan, because he wants to be Mac.
What if the whole Romilda Vane, like, love potion thing is also them? Like Romilda Vane, maybe gives the stuff to Hermione and is like, you're friends with Harry, how about you give this to him? And instead she, like, slips it in Ron's, you know, bag or something.
And there's just this one scene of Harry coming up to Hermione being like, listen, I know you struck a deal with Romilda Vane. Could you please tell me next time you give me a love potion as well? I know Ron got one, but I didn't need one either. Amazing. So we got a couple of other people here. We've got Harry and Ginny, which is a very obvious one. Oh, I see her. I think you are back to tending to your child.
Sorry,
It's okay.
And I think,
no, we're good.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
Yeah, we've got Harry and Ginny, which is an obvious one. The slightly less obvious, but the one that I think could be really cute if you change things up and you like this pairing, would be Harry and Luna. And I have a crying baby again.
That's because he hates the idea of Harry and Luna.
Everyone hates it.
Okay,
everyone hates
while
it.
while you're taking care of your baby, another thought I had on Ginny and Harry is, like, what we really don't see much of is, like, Dean's jealousy of Harry after he and Ginny get together. You know, they live in the same dorm together, and, like, Dean just seems to just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, you stole my girlfriend. Like, or I mean, they were broken up, but still, it was very recent. And I feel like you could have more of, like, Dean and Harry, like, both before and after they get together, a little bit more like, them jockeying for Ginny's affection or interest, or, like, in the Quidditch practices when it's, like, Dean and Ginny are both, playing Chaser together, and, like, Harry, like, knocking into Dean and, like, knocking him off his broom, or, like, I don't know, like, silly stuff like that.
You could have a whole thing of Dean and Michael Corner, like, stalking Harry and Ginny on their first date. Just to see how it's going. And they've formed an uneasy alliance.
That's so funny.
They've formed, like an uneasy alliance. And they're like, we will break them up. And then I will win.
I also think with this Harry, Ginny, and you could even do this in the Hermione Ron version, where, Harry's the side character, and in some rom-coms, you just kind of give a whole beat and scene to a side character to, like, get things rolling for that storyline. So you could do that here, or you could do it in the main storyline, where you get the Felix Felicis moment. And instead of it following Harry the whole time, you just sort of Rube Goldberg machine it, where Harry takes the potion, he bumps Ginny, and then it follows Ginny and Dean, and then it follows Dean and this, and then it just kind of cascades into more romantic comedy stuff instead of just Harry and
that would be really
the
funny.
funeral.
I love that. I think that that's a really great,
Hire me, Warner Brothers, for your What If episodes.
My other option for Half-Blood would be Fleur and Bill. Give me the backstory. I want it. I need it in my life.
I love them so much, and we don't get nearly enough.
No!
We get depressed Shell Cottage stuff. Isn't that good for rom-com? Just them being quiet and helpful?
Yeah, totally.
Dead Dobby, and then they're sad the whole time.
Yeah,
it's great rom-com
definitely
stuff.
rom-com material.
So we're gonna move to Deathly Hallows, which I had one option, and then Sam came in, but I did preface by saying, Sam, I know what you're gonna put in here, and please don't.
Really, I had no idea, I should have known what you meant, and I eventually got there, but I put out all the things in my head that I was like, well, Sierra would probably think I would do this. So here are those Sam, don't put this here options. Drum roll, whoever's sound editing, please. And first one is Nagini and Bathilda. Great rom-com, ends in tragedy.
A rom-com can't end in tragedy. You could have a romantic tragedy. That is a genre, but you can't have a rom-com that ends in tragedy.
It's happily ever after for Nagini's stomach. So we just show her stomach smiling. Yeah? She eats the insides of...
Okay, shush.
Okay, fine. We've got...
Just add a boo sound in here.
Okay, so
after each one of these, boo.
Okay, number 2 would be Hedwig and that green light coming towards me.
No, stop.
No?
It's
like a
Great
deer
Gatsby
when it looks in the
thing,
headlights,
but...
it gets transfixed. It's Hedwig. It's just like that inner moment. It's like a little 5-minute short film where it's Hedwig just imagining all of the wonderful life moments that she can have with this romantic partner of this green light that she's transfixed with, where it shows her and the picket fence in the house, the green light mowing the lawn, and all that. No? We're not there? Nobody's with me?
Boo.
Okay, fine. We've got Ginny and I've dressed the ghoul to look like Harry tonight.
Ew.
Oh my God.
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
We've got somewhat serious ones here. Dean and Luna fated to never last, and Hermione and Harry.
Wait, Dean and Luna and Hermione and Harry, or those are two separate ones?
Two separate ones.
Okay. Dean and Luna. Okay.
Yes.
I don't see why
last.
Dean and Luna is because
they're in the prison together.
They're in the prison. I mean, they're in the prison for 2 seconds together, but okay.
Yes.
And then they're in Shell Cottage together. Okay.
Forced proximity for 6 seconds.
Okay, no, but in Shell Cottage together, that is forced proximity, kind of,
Yeah.
so I could see that. We could also have a one-bed trope there, where, like, not enough beds in Shell Cottage, and, like, Dean and Luna offer to share, and, like, it's a little...
And Luna's absolutely sleeping out on the sand to catch some nargles for the first little bit. I always, in all seriousness, in the text, I always read that Dean kind of had a big crush on her during this time.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he really was very fond of her and like felt protective of her, but I didn't see a crush. No.
And then
I like it. I can see it.
Yeah, I thought that would be a fun one. Little 30-minute short film dedicated to Luna kind of opening Dean's eyes to even more wizarding stuff that he's never known about since he's a muggle. And Luna asking him how soccer works. Because that's all Dean's good at. Sports stuff.
I could see... So... We have that cute moment where... Or what I find is, like, a fun moment where Victor Crumb and... Victor Crumb comes back at the beginning with the wedding, and, like...
Yeah.
It would be cute to pair Victor Crumb with someone for Deathly Hallows. I don't know who, but, like, someone at the
Ginny.
wedding that he... I mean, sure, Ginny. Yeah, could be Ginny. Sad for Harry. But if it was just like, this is a standalone rom-com, that could be cute. Or it could be him and Hermione. It could be like second chances type thing. Also, I think, what I really like about Ron and Hermione in book 7 is like that Ron is actually finally putting some work into like showing his romantic interest, to like showing his appreciation for Hermione, for like being more emotionally sensitive to her, and like being there for her emotionally and stuff. And like I really actually love Ron and Hermione book 7, and I think that could be played out as like a romantic comedy type thing where it's like we have that forced proximity, we have like him trying to learn and grow. Like that's the best thing in a romance or rom-com, and like why a lot of rom-coms fall flat is like that the characters just like don't go through any growth, or like they kind of suck, and then like one of them is like, oh wow, like there was one moment where you didn't suck, and it's like, okay. And whereas here we see like Ron actually like putting in the work and like trying to be better, and we get the whole dramatic like moment where he like leaves and is angry, and they're both angry at each other, and like he thinks that she's in love with someone else, and like he needs to get over his own insecurities in order to be with her, and like there's like so much ripe for romantic drama. The comedy part is a little hard in my mind because it's just Deathly Hallows is not a comedic book, but if you completely changed the book and it was just like a fun camping trip with like...
What if?
Like a fun camping trip with Harry, Ron, and Hermione. It's like Voldemort, like Voldemort got killed at the end of Half-Blood Prince, and like it's just fun camping trip and shenanigans ensue. That would be cute.
That would be great. That'd be great. I also think the sequel to the Victor Crumb and Ginny get-together story is Harry eventually gets with Ginny, Hermione eventually gets with Ron, and then Victor Crumb, much like Cedric in Cursed Child, driven to madness by the success of Harry and Ron, Victor gets involved in dark magic, and this turns into an action movie where Harry and Ron sign up for Wizarding Interpol and hunt him down and kill him. And he goes, "Why are you guys on this case?" And they go, "You screwed our wives in the past." And then they kill him.
Okay.
I always hated that part of Cursed Child, actually most parts of Cursed Child, so I'm not a big fan of that. But what if it's like What if it's like Ron and Hermione's wedding, and Hermione invites Victor Crumb, and Ron's all like, ugh. And then Victor Crumb meets, like, Hermione's muggle cousin, and is like, oh, like, you know, she's a lot like Hermione, but, like, even, you know, we have even more in common, and, like, they get together and have a adorable relationship.
Or I'll raise you this one. Victor Crumb goes to play in Australia, and he's very into older women, and he finds this married woman who looks a lot like Hermione Granger, and he breaks up and marries her instead. No?
Oh my god. Well, I mean, if we were gonna do like a Twilight, he could fall in love with like Hermione and Ron's kid or something.
Rose!
Wait, I'm the one being gross? You've been gross the whole time.
I said Rose.
Rose? Rose.
Isn't that the name of her kid?
Gross.
No.
I mean, it is gross, but
it is gross, but like no,
but
I wasn't calling you out for that. I was saying
Rose.
the name of her isn't her
Rose
child not
name.
Rose?
He was just trying to make it more gross.
What's her child's name?
Rose. Yeah.
It is Rose. Okay, great.
Or Hugo.
I'm not insane.
Could be Hugo or Rose. I think Rose is the oldest one, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So, Rose, yeah.
Rose. Gross. Anyways, so we've got as well Bella and Voldemort, which Sierra, I will abscond.
That's the one that I said no.
Don't worry. I've got a whole thing later about this, so we can skip it for now.
Ugh.
So what's yours?
Okay, for realsies though, Remus and Tonks, give them a happily ever after.
Turn their romantic tragedy into a romantic comedy, please.
Yeah.
Exactly. Still be really good. You could still have Teddy, and Harry's just the hilarious uncle, godfather that he never got to have.
Mm-hmm.
And you could still have Lupin, like, struggling with, like, oh, what does this mean? Like, you know, like, often there's something internal that keeps the couple together. Like, that can be a trope, so it could be, like, Lupin still being like, oh, like, can I have a kid with Tonks? Like, that could be the whole story is, like, you know, they're, like, just married, but, like, some hijinks occur, and, like, they're like, oh, you know, can I have a kid with Tonks? Can I not? Like, will it be like me? You know, is that whatever? Mm-hmm. And then he has to get over it, realize that, you know, even if it's like him, he's an amazing person. He'll be a great dad. And like, then they, you know, at the end of the movie, they have a kid.
And it's
Love it.
The best of both of them. It's a multicolored werewolf.
Yes.
It's just like a wolf cub with lots of different colored fur.
With color changing hair.
Our firstborn son is our pet. Well, excellent. We've figured it out for all of the different books. So we will now dive into a tradition that has popped up on our What If podcast, a What If reimagining. This one isn't nearly as long as our What If horror, which was all about something that you should go back and listen to. It was great. Now, hear me out. Two lovers.
No.
One trapped
Never a good start.
in a loveless marriage. One banished to a faraway forest, imprisoned and cast out. These two spend 13 years returning to one another. Long gone are the days of glances in the halls, touches on the shoulder, and winks during speeches. Long gone are the days where the bonds of marriage trap their hearts against one another. He's an unconventional wizard. She's his most loyal, his most faithful. And yet, everything works against them, namely the justice system. He does everything in his power to return to her, though. Thatching himself to the back of a head, recalling his 16-year-old self with romance novel locks and a nose to free her, bringing himself back to a corporeal body and eventually his fully formed adult body. She rots in prison, the Dementors taking what beauty she had and what mind she had, and now she's been whittled down to nothing but her devotion for Lord Voldemort. Her name, Mrs. Bellatrix Lestrange. The entire 7-book and 1-play series is actually all about Tom Riddle and his secret crush, Bella Black. Nothing will stand in his way. No order, no prophecy, no boy, no nothing Can't the world just leave them alone so they can take over a small island of wizards and then procreate? Coming this Christmas season, one all-powerful Dark Lord and his hidden fling. It's Tom and Bella. Nothing can stop us now.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Very, very well done, though. Yes. Very, very creative.
There were a couple moments
dramatic.
there where I was like,
I was
okay.
almost in it.
Where's the comedy, though?
Yeah, where is the
It's very dramatic.
Yeah, the comedy moments when he's in his corporeal body looking at a mirror being like, when he's first like in baby Voldemort phase, just looking in a mirror, trying to flex his muscles, being like, there's no way she'll want this. That would be funny.
That would be funny.
No, here's what it is. All of what you read is the like voiceover.
Yeah.
But everything that we're seeing is just like from Pettigrew's perspective. And he's like, and he's just like, yeah, I just like found this guy in the forest. And then it cuts and it's like, well, I stuck him in a cauldron. Hope he doesn't drown.
Yeah.
Just like, it's all just these very like weird cuts where like the voiceover sounds very dramatic, but then everything that's actually happening
It's just very funny.
Absurd.
That would be really funny. Like, what I'm imagining is, like, both Voldemort and Bellatrix, like, in their own heads, they think they're supervillains. Like, they think they're supervillains, and nobody else thinks so. Like,
It's
nobody
like very,
else
like,
cares.
Despicable Me.
Megan.
Yeah, Despicable Me. All Despicable Me. Yeah.
No.
Like, it's like, nobody else cares, but they think they're supervillains, and, like, at the end, it's like, they think they're, like, ruling the wizarding world, but, like, nobody else, like, realizes.
It's like the Emperor in San Francisco. This is a real thing that happened in the 1800s. This guy took out an ad in the San Francisco Chronicle and was like, I'm now Emperor of San Francisco. And he dressed in like full military regalia and people called him the Emperor. And like they like abided, quote unquote, by what he did. And then like nobody actually did it though. Like it was just kind of an emperor's wearing new clothes sort of dealio.
That's really funny.
I think there's a lot of comedy moments
like
in the
it.
awkwardness between Voldemort and giving orders to Bellatrix's husband, where he's just constantly going on very dangerous, he's definitely going to die missions, and he keeps living. And it's just Voldemort being like, God damn it.
That's
Can he
really
just
funny.
die?
Guy not die.
You can never remember his name.
Yeah,
He always comes up with different variations of Rudolphus' name.
Rudy. Rudy, come here. My name's not Rudy. Sorry. Randy? No?
Robert?
Really funny.
I also think there's some
I
good
like
comedy moments from like the Chamber of Secrets moments where he's like quaffing his hair before Harry gets there and he's practicing his speech on like, Bellatrix, it's been a while.
Oh, and I mean, we see how awkward Voldemort is when he gives Draco a hug. So, like,
Yeah.
that times 1,000 throughout the movie of like him trying to show his affection and just being like, pat, like.
There's a great moment where he gets to a cell when they go to do the mass breakout and he's like, it's labeled Lestrange and he gives this amazing love speech and it's actually her husband.
Yeah,
Or the brother of the
husband's
husband.
brother. Yeah, her brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my
He's
gosh.
like, obliviate. You have to forget that. Like, it's too embarrassing.
A lot of obliviating. Just
Bellatrix's husband is constantly obliviated.
I'm sorry if this sounds rehearsed. This is the third cell I've done this in.
Very Ryan
There's
Reynolds.
a lot of you in here.
That's hilarious.
For today's 7 ingredients of today's special on the podcast, we have the 7 different ways that the masterminds Cormac and Hermione get Lavender and Ron to break up so that they may claim them for themselves. Sierra, take it away.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right, starting off, we have Juan, the nickname.
Yes.
We gotta know that was not an original idea there.
Dreamed up by
number
Cormac.
Number 2, we have the sweetheart necklace, my sweetheart necklace.
Nice.
Number 3, we have Ron taking love potion, falling in love with somebody else temporarily. Number 4, we have a faking the relationship to make them jealous. Number 5, we have Felix Felicis Rube Goldberg machine of
Harry takes it.
comedic events.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. Number 6, we have Hermione making sure that Cormac replaces Ron on the Quidditch team so that Lavender will be attracted to him instead. And then number 7, what you don't see off screen is when Ron's unconscious in the hospital wing, Cormac is sitting there going, Hermione, 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 Hermione,
Hermione, Hermione, Hermione, Hermione, Hermione,
just to get that ingrained in his head so that's what he's thinking about. And then when Hermione's there, Hermione.
Then when Lavender's there, Hermione.
Oh yes, when Lavender is there.
And all of that leads to a very successful breakup, where then Hermione and Cormac make out one last time before they go and claim their prizes.
Okay, in your version.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you, Amy, for joining us here at the Three Broomsticks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
This was fun.
So much fun.
Amy was on the pod. She was really great. Yeah, pay us money so we can keep doing this. Yeah.
Where can people follow you? I'm sure plenty of places. Is there anything you'd like to plug and all of your handles and whatnot?
Sure. So Revelio Podcast is just a general Wizarding World podcast. We discuss the latest news. We come up with a fun main discussion every time, whether that's books, movies, theme parks, whatever it is. You can find Revelio on Instagram and TikTok at Revelio Podcast, on Twitter and YouTube at Revelio_podcast, on Facebook at facebook.com/RevelioCast, and you can visit the website at www.reveliopodcast.com. We're actually currently working through a mini-series about the theme parks, which will conclude with our review of Epic Universe. So definitely tune in for that.
Very
Done.
cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What? Give me a little taste. Epic Universe, worth it? Not worth it?
We haven't been yet.
Ooh,
Yeah, as of
so
this episode
cool.
releasing, it's about 6 days before we'll be there for the first time.
Incredible.
So, yeah.
So exciting.
So,
So
keep
excited.
an eye out for that podcast coming up on Revelio, y'all. That'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Expecto Patronum, again, podcast about Patronuses. We do deep dives on the different animal forms, their potential meanings, seeing if the character that we know has that Patronus, should have that Patronus, all that stuff. So you can find Expecto Patronum on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Expecto Patronum, on Twitter at ExpectoPod, and the website is expectopodtronum.com. And season 2 is coming out in October.
Blue whale, blue whale, blue whale, blue whale, blue whale.
Sam's just trying to manifest it.
I am, absolutely. If you
If
enjoyed
there's
your
no
time,
blue whale, we'll get you on an episode about some sort of marine life. How
that
about
would be great. My wife is a literal marine biologist, so I will come in with much research done.
I love it.
If you loved your time at the pub today, dear listeners, please rate and review us online, or tell your friends about the show, or all of them. Rating and reviewing us really helps with the algorithm of giving this show out to other people, and telling your friends about the show also is helpful because word of mouth is a cool thing. A huge thanks again to Katie Riken. Yay, thank you. You bought us this round of drinks at the Three Broomsticks. You enabled Amy to come on and spout off about blue whales in the future, hopefully. So if you, dear listener, would like to buy us the next round of drinks, head over to patreon.com/3broomsticks. That's with the numeral 3 to sign up.
Do you want to find us online? We are also on various different social media channels. They are all linked on our website and in the show notes. Do you want to know what's coming up each month? Maybe get a sneak preview of new Patreon content? Or maybe you want to ponder with us and learn Irvin and Sophia's big thoughts. All that and more can be found on our socials. And our website, where you can find all that information, is 3broomstickspod.com. That's with 3 spelled out. Submit a topic, maybe we'll talk about it, like blue whales, apparently. Let us know your thoughts. We love your comments. We need more comments. Be like our commenter, Perkins Lumbago, and if you haven't commented before, comment now. Now's a great time.
Yes,
we want to know who you are.
Please submit a topic about Bellatrix and Voldemort so I can talk more about it.
No.
Please don't. We've done
Steer
enough.
clear of that one. But the next time that we meet at the Three Broomsticks, we will be discussing, to take a turn, deaths in Harry Potter that may have been more than they appeared.
That's a good one.
Thank you for joining us. I am Sierra.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Sam. Thank you for listening, and see you all next time in the Three Broomsticks.
Cheers!
Give me big old buckets of butterbeer. Give me big old barrels of butterbeer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of the sweet old butterbeer.
This episode of The Three Broomsticks was edited by Brittany Fisher. The theme song was written and performed by the Faithful Sidekicks. Make sure to check them out at thefaithfulsidekicks.com.
Okay, I've been given a recording a meeting without the consent of all participants may be illegal and actionable. Do I have everybody's consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Please record.
Great.
Just, from a legal standpoint, I'm learning things.
Cover all your bases.
It's going to tell everybody that I'm recording now, so just in case you didn't know.
What's your house? How did you get to Harry Potter? Hello, cat that just meowed. I didn't even know you were in this room. Hold on. 1 second, everyone. A cat appeared from underneath the bed and said meow directly into my mic.
We must remove the felines.
Out you go. Okay.
What would be 5 other ways that he would get obliviated?
Okay, here we go.
Knox explaining how Bellatrix and Voldemort hooked up last night. Oops, you weren't supposed to hear that, Rodolphus. Obliviate.
So what we don't here, what we don't see is while Ron is unconscious in the hospital wing, Cormac just comes up to him and just is whispering in his ear, Hermione.
Hermione. Yes, got it!
That is hilarious.
It's
funny.
It's I don't know if you guys ever did that at camp, but it was a rumor when I was at camp that if you said something repeatedly to somebody right as they were right after they fell asleep, then that's what they would dream about.
Yeah.
And so then the next morning you'd be like, what did you dream about?
That's
God,
funny.
I
I've never
hate
heard
Christian
that
Science
before.
summer camps.
You could have a whole side plot of Dean and Michael Corner stalking. Can I say a sentence without you interrupting, please? Just smiling at me. You could have a whole.
Where did this other cat come from? How are you even in here? Get away!
They're multiplying.
Both of
Mine
my
has
cats were-
definitely
So you're
meowed
talking
into
about
the
a
mic.
cat in Shell Cottage.
Yeah, I got really confused for a moment. I was like, what? I don't remember that scene.
I don't remember there being a cat. Sam, stick to some actual textual stuff. Come on.
Yeah. I'm you talking about Crookshanks? Crookshanks ain't there, bud.
Neither is Hedwig.
Wow.
You shush
soon.
it.
This-
Moving on to...
It has to happen once an episode when Sierra and I are on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But you're about to do it the second time.
Don't you
so
spoil. Don't you spoil my fun.
Be like our commenter. I'm vamping because I'm scrolling.
Lumbago. What is his name? Perkins Lumbago.
Percival
Yes,
Lumbago.
be like our...
Lumbago. This is going great, Sierra.
Lumbago.
You're doing great.
Be like our comment... Okay, I'm starting over!
Cheers. Give me big old buckets of butterbeer and the itsy bitsy spider.
I'm stopping my recording now.
On that note.
We had a technical issue with Sophia's audio, so on the behalf of the team,